Freaking out, man. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men with power want? More power.
And now, broadcasting live on GMN from an undisclosed location in the Arizona desert. Italian by birth, American by choice. Songwriter, poet, freedom activist, luca-zanna with Love, Guns, and Freedom.
All systems go.
Don't tread on us. We're not afraid. You work for us. We're not your slaves. Don't tread on us.
Luca Zanna, you're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom on KTOX 1340 AM and on Guerrilla Media Network. Don't forget also to go to my website, lovegunsfreedom.com. Now, today, it's another Sunday, and by the way, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We are getting pretty much close to the end of the year. As I said many times, I come here to this radio not just because I want to, try to entertain you, make your life, funnier or whatever. No, I'm not even that good at that. My purpose is very simple. I'm here to learn, first of all, and more important, I'm here to share whatever I learn from you and from others. And when I say learning, it's just about learning about, history or American history, other things we may enjoy. I'm talking about learning the truth. Truth that, unfortunately, it is very important part of our present and our future. If we do not learn the past from the past, we will repeat the same mistakes over and over. And we are already coming to a point that, unfortunately, these mistakes that we've been doing the last at least 50 years, they are not just innocent mistakes, but a part of a bigger plan. And the bigger plan is to pretty much enslave humanity. And let's start for sure, they are enslaving America. And that's why it's important that we learn and we use our own brain when it comes down to analyze very important tragic episodes of our American history, like, for example, the bombing of Oklahoma City. And I know there is an official version from the media, from the propaganda, government propaganda, but I really understand that there is much more than what we've been told. And that's why today I wanted to bring with you here a gentleman from Oklahoma, and that is being studied and is being pretty much documenting also in a project, in the documentary, a lot of information that probably you never heard before about Oklahoma City bombing. And let me introduce to you, I have the pleasure and the honor to have with me Mr. Chris Emery from Oklahoma City. Chris, are you there?
Yes, thank you for having me on, Luca, and I really appreciate, we need more radio show hosts like you to get the what really happened versus the contrived history and the official narratives that, unfortunately, a lot of the top decision makers in our government choose to pander to us every day. But thank you. It's an honor to be on your show.
Thank you. And, the important thing about, I like to talk with facts. I try to avoid emotions. I try to avoid people being calling names. And there are a lot of listeners out there that are already pretty much open and informed about many things happen in this country, at least in the last 30, 40 years. But there are a lot of people out there that still have a lot of, reservation. And when they hear something that is not from the official version of the, label media, whatever you want to call them, Fox Media or CBS or MNBC, all this propaganda media, they think everything else is some sort of a conspiracy. But I say, please, keep your mind open, because at the end of the day, we must use our brain, we use logic. And why this is so important? People can say, by the way, this stuff happened, let's talking about Oklahoma City a long time ago, in 1995, if I remember, right? I mean, when
Yes, April of 95.
I mean, it's 2014. It's time to move on. No, it is not time to move on, because it's so important that when we see the big picture, all the progressions of this type of episodes, and I would like to already right now make my case and call them, and I will prove with you that this was a false flag. It's a military term that pretty much I studied when I was already in military school in Italy. That is something that we need to evaluate and also analyze a little better And this is very important. This is not just some sort of a conspiracy. And I will prove my point with your help. Oklahoma City bombing was a false flag, or at least was not exactly, not even close to what we've been told by the media and by the government. Now, before we start with that, let's talk a little bit about you. Who is Chris Emery? Let's talk a little bit about your professional life.
Well, actually, I'm currently a vice president of marketing and distribution with Free Mind Films. We're an independent film production company based in Oklahoma City. And I was one of the co-founders. There were actually three of us that founded the company back in early 2011. So here we are coming up on almost 4 years. But my background spans 33 years in radio, television, and film, both working in front of and behind the camera. And I was very fortunate to work with one of the major networks in a smaller tier market, the third tier media market, for about 4 years as a contract employee. So you mentioned the mainstream media, and I came into film having that background, knowing how the mainstream media works. And it wasn't the secretaries or the camera engineers or the janitors or the maintenance people or the electricians in the studio that did the wrong work. It was the station managers and the program directors that had the final decision. And those are the people today that continue this day to really distort a lot of the stories that come through. Other than, your fluff pieces on holidays or sports, when you get the hard facts for cases such as Oklahoma City or 9/11 or the shoot down at TWA 800 or even Sandy Hook, they're completely off base, and I can see right through it immediately. So what I tried to do, Luca, was take my experience as a professional model, actor, I did a lot of bit parts in TV shows, 60 regional commercials, taking the production. I mean, when you're on the set that often, you get to see how these things are put together and who does good work, who does not so good work, and then you get to cherry pick, and mentally I was able to see, okay, well, this works great. So I was able to work for a small production house in Fort Worth, and we did some fantastic work in biographical documentaries, great commercials, and that really helped me establish foundation for those 8 projects that I worked on to actually start researching the Oklahoma City bombing, and then was able to get colleagues of mine in the film industry and television and radio, and we had a core group of about 75 people that put this project together. So it wasn't something that I just happened to fall across or fall onto on the internet, and decided to try to make a movie. There's quite a bit of history behind that, and we were qualified. We were a very good team, and we really worked very hard. And we'll get into where we got our information and the other people that stepped forward. So that's pretty much who I am, and I love my work.
Chris,
I wake up every morning. And
very good, Chris. Now we know pretty much have an idea about your professional background. Now, my question is, as a human being, as an American, we all have stages of awakening. And for me, it's like a journey. When we think we know something, it's just the beginning of a new stage. I mean, it's like a process. Right. You're never going to know everything. But for sure, there is a moment, I remember my moment, when somehow coming from Italy, I was even American yet. I was still studying on my citizenship. And I say, wow, now I start to see that I don't know all the things I thought they were true. There is like some sort of almost an earthquake. And you start to see in the foundation that you've been told a bunch of lies. And when somebody lied to you about one big thing, and for me it was 9/11, really what freaked me out. And then I start to realize there is a lot much more. And that's also how I discovered, of course, Oklahoma City. What was for you the specific event in American history or actual history right now that pretty much hit you like a rock on your head and say, wait a second, these things are not the way they told us or they're telling us? What is your event or your book?
In short, and I'll try to keep it as quick as I can, it was actually the U.S. Navy accidentally shot down Flight TWA 800 in July of 1996. And that's the case I was working on for 2.5 years before I even got into the Oklahoma City bombing. And, so that was pretty much, it was a watershed right there, a seminal moment for me to really apply my background with the network and investigative experience into that.
Very good, very good. Okay, now let's talk to make the case. I mean, we will talk about, of course, other projects that you've done with the company, Free Mind Film, and also, of course, the new project that I think is very interesting, and there is a special guest that was one of my favorite, by the way, when I was a kid in Italy, I used to watch this series Hercules. Don't laugh at me, but I really like it. And I was a teenager, and there was this guy, that you can say also the name. Please say for me.
Sure.
Go ahead to say.
It's Kevin Sorbo. He's
Kevin Sorbo.
an actor based out of West Hollywood, yes.
Yes, a great actor, and also he's done a lot of projects. But I'm really excited that now he's involved also into these different type of projects. Like we will talk about this in the next few minutes. Now let's go back to the Oklahoma City bombing and exactly the DVD that, by the way, I proudly bought, and I like this type of DVDs because I really believe they're like a special ammunition to wake up our fellow Americans. A noble lie. It's pretty much in this DVD you make a case very strong. I think really you cannot even doubt anymore. But that's why I invite people to get a copy of this DVD, A Noble Lie. You can find it. Tell me where you can find it, first of all, this DVD.
Yes, and it's called The Noble Lie, Oklahoma City, 1995, not to be mistaken with another film out there. It's called The Noble Lie, but that's okay. A lot of people do the short version. You can purchase it on our website, freemindfilms.com. And both of our films are available there.
Perfect. So anyway, I invite everybody to buy this DVD and to share it, because when now we will try in the next few minutes to go through some basic, or at least the most evident facts that I really believe they can make the case that the Oklahoma City bombing wasn't what we were told, and there is so much more to really believe there was a conspiracy, and this is a conspiracy against the American people, against truth. And now let's start with the facts. The official version. Remind us, please, a little bit what happened. It was the April the 19th, Central Time, 9 o'clock in the morning, 9:02, 1995. Correct me if I'm wrong. There was a Ryder rental truck and was containing, according to the official version, about 60 to 100 pounds of ammonium nitrate fertilizer and some other little elements like diesel and things like that. And there was in front of the Alfred Murrah Federal Building. And this man, accordingly, not even allegedly, because technically there was a federal sentence. His name was Timothy Mev Gay. Hopefully I pronounced it right. By the way, he was from Kingman area, and he lives like exactly in Golden Valley, a few blocks where I have my own house here. And this guy supposedly was a veteran, and he drove this truck in front of the Oklahoma City Federal Building, and boom. Everything went down, and according to the version, there was some sort of almost payback because he was mad at the federal government and Bill Clinton administration, anti-gun. It was some sort of this, right-wing, dangerous element of society. Am I right? Is this pretty much what I remember?
That's the official narrative, and that's what we presented for about the first 10 to 12 minutes in the film, just to give the viewers, more or less a level playing field to start with. That's what, even up to when I started, researching the film, I didn't know any different until I started looking into it. But from there, let me give you 5 points out of the several that we hit in the film. First of all, the truck actually blew up 5 to 8 seconds after the building was starting to come down, and we have this according to videotape evidence as far as the damage to the building. We're able to see where the damage started and where it ended, and then the asymmetrical blast pattern. If you were to have a point source blast, such as what was allegedly inside the truck, there would have been a clear equal distance or asymmetrical elliptical pattern in there, and that didn't happen because it was. What we found out was that the building was coming down from east to west, literally from Robinson Avenue to Harvey Avenue, a full 5 to 8 seconds before the truck bomb even blew up. And the reason we found that out was there were 14 survivors that said that they had a chance to hit the floor before the glass blew in. And it was coming in at quite a velocity. It would have impaled these people. Most of them, they wouldn't have survived unless they, dove onto their deaths. The second thing was the number of survivors and where they were located in the building and who survived and who didn't. And there were quite a few survivors actually in the proximity, even on the sidewalk, not far in distance comparison from the truck bomb versus where the actual building was destroyed. There were a lot of things that were coming together, Luca, that we saw as a film crew and that was provided to us by local, county, state, and federal law enforcement that actually wanted the truth to come out in this case. We were putting this puzzle together, and it wasn't making any sense. It wasn't supporting the official story. And we're not politically minded. We're filmmakers. We go where the facts lead us.
Yes.
We go straight down the middle of the road on this thing. The third thing was the amount of damage that was done in downtown Oklahoma City was absolutely horrendous. I mean, there were over 800 buildings that were destroyed, over 300 of them, 300 severely destroyed. And if in fact there was anvil in that building, or the truck, as it was officially claimed, then it would have been minimal damage, no more than 100 to 120 yards. That would have been it. It wouldn't have blown out the windows in these buildings 6-7 blocks away.
Yes, and
the way, yeah, go ahead.
No, exactly, you're right. I mean, this being more than one person, they are professional. I'm talking about generals, retired generals, people that have been expert in explosive. I mean, real professional, that they prove mathematically. And this is not an opinion. When you're talking about explosions and explosive, it's pretty much a law of physics, okay? And as you were saying, there is no way that the quantity and especially the material itself, I mean, this is a sort of a fertilizer, would never have created such type of devastating results. And also the radius, the implosion, it wasn't coming from the building outside, but was the opposite. Excuse me, it wasn't coming from the truck to the building, but was coming from the building towards outside. And please continue. This is a very important point you're making.
Well, and you brought up a good point there as far as where the damage was emanating from. And we found, the whole facade that was destroyed on the Murrow building, it was all glass. It was a beautiful building, one of the best designed federal buildings. They got a lot of awards just for the art and the design. Anyway, that whole facade was completely destroyed. When you have these big plate glass pieces inside the metal framing on that facade, there's what they call rubber sashing to keep out the moisture and, keep in the heat and so forth and the AC. Those things were found 1.5 blocks north of the building, which could mean only one thing. And by the way, there was a 42-mile-an-hour headwind coming into the building that morning, so the velocity and the blast wave attenuation coming out of that building was horrendous.
Exactly.
To launch these pieces of rubber that were sealing in those windows pieces 1.5 blocks north of the building. Are you kidding me? That doesn't happen when you have a device blowing into the building. So it completely contradicted. I mean, everything that we were uncovering, everything that was presented to us, was not supporting the official narrative. We couldn't make a movie to support the official narrative. We simply didn't have the information to do so. The only thing that it supported was the brutal murder of 169 people, including 3 unborns. That's the only thing that was consistent with the official narrative. So the movie, we had 6.5 hours of footage.
Wow.
There's no way you can market a movie that long. So we had to take the best of that and narrow it down to 2 hours. And like I said, it's more of it's in a chapterized format. We progress as we go here, build up the storyline. We present the evidence, which was given to us by conscientious members of the Department of Justice.
I would like to focus on some very important basic things that they were the first one to really hit my head. And you don't need to be a professor or an expert or some sort of, physician or, how you say, not physician, physics expert or...
Physics professor.
Yeah, exactly. It's just about being, first of all, having ears to listen. The first few minutes of the local news, there were different news reports. They were saying more explosives being found inside the building. Most explosives, they were found inside the building. After that, the segment of the local news for Oklahoma City News never been played anymore on national news. If somebody tell you that there were officially proofs that there were inexplosive bombs or some sort of this type of whatever they found, devices, and they were not exploded, who can have the access to put these devices, the explosive, inside the building? Right there, something we should start to think. I mean, the main official version was that we had just this yellow Ryder truck outside the building. Now we start to find out these news, and you can Google, by the way, people can Google this information. There is still some clips out there, and I think your brain should start to think when somebody at the beginning, the media, they are not still controlled, and there are some local media that pretty much can get the news and run with that. And you find out that the official version was they were not exploded ordnance or this sort of a bombs, whatever they were. Right there, I think is kind of
Right.
important. Then there is another very important thing, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Every time something something
Go ahead.
happened, like for example 9/11, and of course now we're talking about Oklahoma City building. No, even after a few days, the first thing they want to do is get rid of the body of the crime. I mean, there was a famous retired Air Force Brigadier General, Benton Partin, that, by the way, he was the former commander of the Air Force Armament Technology Laboratory. This guy is 25 years expert in the design and development of bombs. That's pretty much what he did, okay, for a living. No political affiliation, doesn't care. It's just about to be as a professional guy, as a former general. He was urging and begging the senators and the congressmen to delay the destruction of the building, of the Murrah building site. Because
That is correct.
Yeah, he was freaking out when pretty much he saw, first of all, the way this supposed truck, supposedly the official story that we've been told, and then according to his experience in explosive, there was no way, and he was proving it with logic, with mathematics, and also with the experience in this explosive world. But when you remove immediately the building, there is no more to prove. There is nothing more to talk. I mean, it's gone. And that's the same story happened with 9/11. They couldn't wait fast enough to get rid of these buildings, or whatever was left of the buildings, the towers, and ship them to China. And if I'm right, correct me if I'm wrong, was used, the same company that was used to clean up 9/11 was also used to clean up here on Oklahoma City?
Oklahoma City, Controlled Demolition Inc., and they were hired out. They're government contractor. They're the guys that know how to handle the big jobs such as this. But, General Parton and I had met at his house. It was October of 2003.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you what, Luke, it was like, I have the utmost respect for him. I had talked to him for about 2 or 3 years up to that point. I finally had the chance to go out and visit with him for a couple of days. And I sat at his dining room table. This is after we'd gone out to dinner at the Officers Club at Fort Belvoir.
Mm-hmm.
And we got home. His wife had turned in for the evening, and we sat up till 4 o'clock in the morning. And he scribbled out on 7 sheets of legal paper, both sides,
mm-hmm.
all of the formulas that he used to figure out what happened in Oklahoma City. I was just in awe. And he's scribbling this stuff out. We still have it in our film archive, sealed away in sheet protectors with our archives.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me, he says, okay, this is what happened in the building. This is what caused this. This is why these vehicles were damaged. And I looked at him and I says, half kiddingly, I says, you've done this for a while. And he says, Chris, I used to blow up entire small cities out in the middle of the White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico and in the Mojave Desert.
Mm-hmm.
He said, we would do after-action reports and white papers. He says, I knew exactly what happened in the Oklahoma City bombing because that was my profession for 18 years.
Wow.
In his 35 years in the Air Force. He had unlimited budget. He designed ordnance for both the Navy and the Air Force at the Pentagon. And he was furious, like you said, because nobody would pay attention to what he was doing. And I looked at those formulas, and he's brilliant. Sam Cohen, one of the co-inventors of the neutron bomb,
mm-hmm.
he was a prodigy at Manhattan Project. He looked up to General Parton as the expert's expert. Sam Groening out of a big blast and dynamite company in Wyoming always referred to General Parton's work. I mean, it's irrefutable. We have a lot of these guys that are military or civilian or designers or engineers that look up to him and say, yeah, if who's the best one? Oh, go ask General Parton. So that's and he even had, and this is really an interesting twist. A lot of people aren't aware of this. Danny, let's see here. Deffenbaugh, he was a special agent in charge out of the Dallas field office, and he ended up coming up here to investigate this case. And he sat in General Parton's living room, along with 2 of the lead prosecutors that would eventually put McVeigh and Nichols on trial in Denver, and he'd spell out the whole thing to him. He even tape recorded the conversation. He played back some of that for me. And those son of a guns, they knew darn well what they were up against. So what they did is selective prosecution. They created the evidence to support their theory of what happened versus the other way around. It was corrupt before the trials even started. It was horrendous.
Wow.
And that was the best that the FBI and the Department of Justice chose to walk into the courtroom with. It was absolutely abhorrent. It was disgusting.
And now there is always the phrase, cui bono, who's going to benefit all this? Because why? Let's say now that we can prove for sure that, first of all, we don't even know now who was in charge of this crime. Let's say we want to wait before we start to point fingers, okay? But for sure we know that a Ryder truck, I don't care how many pounds of fertilizer you can put inside, that we know that that was not the cause of this explosion. The physics will prove it. The evidence that, of course, was being removed was going to prove it. And witnesses also, there are different things that we can say about that. But now, after we understand that vehicle, that truck could not be the cause of this huge huge destruction. Now, my question is, let's start to look first of all about what could have been. I mean, we said that there were devices that were found and there were no exploded devices inside the building, according to the media.
That's correct.
How many you think, first of all, to create such a devastation could have been? Because I think more than one.
Well, actually, we know that at least 3, if not 4, had gone off.
Wow.
And ANFO was, like I said, an after effect. It was an afterthought. Mm-hmm. It did very little damage. It would have taken out a few of the windows. In fact, here's the thing. There were 3 paper boxes. You buy your USA Today and Wall Street Journal, these metal boxes with your coin in the side. Those weren't even damaged, and they were 22 feet away from the truck. Wow. 22 feet.
Wow.
There was a concrete planter with brand new shrubs and dirt. When they peeled away the debris from that, the building had collapsed on these. The dirt and the shrubs were intact. What does that tell you? And they were only 15 feet away from the truck bomb.
Wow. Which
means that by virtue of the building damage, it literally preserved the evidence. And right before they leveled the building, they peeled this away, and they said, wow, these things are still here. Those things should have been not only the planter completely destroyed, there would have been no trees, no dirt, no nothing. They were perfectly intact.
Wow.
That's a huge embarrassment to the whole case.
Yeah.
And that's Mother Nature working in our favor is what that was.
What is disgusting, is not what the lies that they're trying to tell us. It's the media. I know that there are 4 or 5 at the end of the day, just big networks, but the point is still, I hard to believe that there are not enough media out there at the time that were reporting at least some of the evidence that we're talking about. I mean, it seems like almost there is a real control lock on whatever other information you're trying to bring out. If it is not the official version from the government, it's almost impossible to pretty much bring some basic evidence like we are talking now.
Here's and to bring up your point, I'll try to get through this as quick as I can. Channel 4 is an NBC affiliate here in Oklahoma City. Mm-hmm. Devin Skillian was the PM anchor. He typically, went in at about 3 or 4, and then they'd leave at 1 or 2 a.m.
Yes.
He was asleep when the bombing happened. He woke up out of bed. They had the A-team from both the AM and the PM shifts there that morning. And I'll never forget watching the newsreel how this whole thing unfolded. It was they preempted an episode of Maury Povich, and they had like the weather guy and one of the B team reporters. Mid-morning, there's no big news, and they're breaking the story on the air. It was insane. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, the big shoulders walk in the studio and they take over. Devin and I had dinner in Detroit back in 2007, and he actually signed a contract to move with Channel 4. To Channel 4 NBC affiliate in Detroit. Mm-hmm. And the ink was dry. It was good 45 days before the bombing even happened. I mean, he was on his way out of town. He left 2 weeks after the bombing to, honor his contract with the affiliate up there. Anyway, so we're having dinner, and he says, Chris, I'm going to tell you right now. He says, I never really knew what happened there because I had to move to Detroit quick. Kids, wife, everything relocated. And I laid it out for him, and he was in shock. And this is 12 years after the bombing. And he says, he never forgot. Within about 3 hours, they were getting teletypes and stuff over the computer from Washington.
Wow.
Telling them what to do, telling them what to say, what the narrative would be. When they're getting stuff coming in from the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, from Oklahoma County Sheriffs, from the Oklahoma City Police Department, from the OSBI, that completely countered what was coming in from Washington. There was this big tug of war going on, and finally his boss says, "No, you're going to pretty much, give the narrative what's coming in from Washington D.C."
Yeah,
well, he didn't have a choice.
Yeah, and this is something much more because, we're just touching, pretty much scratching the surface here. For example, another thing really also caught my attention, and maybe as an individual fact maybe not be enough, but when you start to look all this as a big picture, it's kind of disturbing. supposedly this bombing was some sort of an act of reprisal against the federal massacre of the Branch Davidians at Waco. Okay, so the official version was
that's the official, yeah.
And so they were these patriot militia, right-wing extremists. According to the official government version, they wanted to kill as many as FBI or BATF agents as possible. That was the goal. There was no even
actually, no, that nothing could be farther from the truth. In fact, this is something your listeners may not be aware of, and we didn't find this out until we were about ready to go to post-production. We triple-checked all of our facts. We don't single or double-check them. We triple-check them, and we saw the documentation. Plain as day. That McVeigh was working for the CIA for 2.5 years. He was on a joint task force with the FBI and the ATF.
Wow.
He was on their payroll. Plain and simple. And he was a professional assassin, and he smuggled drugs into the United States. Okay, so what does that tell you? Obviously, he was set up, or he was a dupe, or he was there as a plant. Here's another interesting twist, and this is something we were not able to put in the film because we were already too far into post-production, and we still had to corroborate it. We did after the film came out, and we'd like to include this on a director's cut that we hope to release in the next year or two. There was of all things, Luca, and this is something that your listeners, especially in Arizona, are going to appreciate. McVeigh had 8 different licenses, 8 different aliases. How in the heck do you do that unless you're working for the government? There's no way. Maybe 1 or 2, but not 8.
Wow.
Michael Fortier was what he said on the stand. He perjured himself 18 times. He rolled on these guys. He basically said stuff that was scientifically and legally completely bankrupt. He lied on the stand just to make sure to cover his butt. And now he's in witness protection program. And, he's released from custody back, I believe, was it 2006. He served, he got 4 years of his sentence commuted off, and then he's in witness protection now. All right. But the thing is that in February of 1995, McVeigh, up to that point, was still recruiting people to blow up federal buildings in Denver, Seattle, Fort Worth, Oklahoma City, and Atlanta. Oklahoma City drew the short straw. Why? Because there was no security there. The cameras weren't working. The GSA did not have enough money in their budget to make sure that the building was up to the snuff, up to the security standards it should have been. So this is a perfect storm. Everything was, the arrows were pointing in the direction of, this is the building that's going to be blown up, but it wasn't supposed to be blown up. It was supposed to be at 9 o'clock in the morning. Supposed to be blown up at 9 in the evening. Well, there was nobody there except one security guard walking the beat for 4 different buildings. It was Burns Security, another government contractor.
No,
so,
it's
the official narrative is just it's patently false on so many levels.
And some other, of course, I'm just trying to reach now the things that for me they are most in plain view, okay? And there is so much more. The detail, there's so many. For example, another thing I really was disturbed when I saw there was this sort of equipment to measure earthquakes. I think you call it seismographic, right? Seismograph.
Sure, yes, seismographs.
Yes, and there is some very good evidence that there are some numbers there, especially some data that they completely disregard the fact that there was just an explosion. I mean, excuse me, they're trying to make almost look like it was an earthquake, but it wasn't an earthquake. There was the data that they have were disturbing and completely incompatible with the fact that there was this sort of a track, the rider track, just going off. I mean, it was like almost an earthquake right there. Okay, and another important thing I would like to talk briefly. The point is that we have now somebody like Timothy McVeigh, that supposedly was he was a very highly trained combat NCO. He had the Bronze Star for courage in the Gulf War, the first Gulf War. And after all this mess, supposedly, he was stopped by a state trooper. And if I remember, Mr. McVeigh, he was armed with a pistol. I think it was a Glock 45. And he knew that he was going to pretty much face charges and execution, maybe death penalty. Who knows? I mean, this is serious stuff if you get convicted. And instead, he did not do anything to defend himself or escape. He just surrendered. Yeah. I mean, that was another thing that made no sense to me. I mean, why you think, at this point, maybe things that we cannot prove, but as your personal educated opinion, what do you think really was, you think your mind happens in McVeigh, what it really exactly was, maybe what you
well,
thought.
It's funny you mention that because we had the chance to look at a lot of the defense notes. The defense team, they donated it to an archive located down in Austin, Texas, and the archivist was very, very supportive of our work, and she said, just whatever you guys want, just photocopy it. We'll give you a discounted rate on the photocopies. The FBI tried to come in and abscond all the records, and she says, nope, you come here with a warrant, we'll give you copies, you're not taking the originals. They never showed up again. But the reason I bring that up is that we got to see the margin notes on the defense counsel, what they were writing leading up to the preliminary hearings and the evidence hearings and discovery and so forth. McVeigh, he would go from profane to being the dutiful soldier, to being very depressed, to being, more of like a bipolar. We didn't know who he was. And this is in exchange with his own defense counsel. They had a heck of a time figuring out who he was. That's the hallmark. And I'm not saying we didn't have definitive proof, but we were able to take a glance in his medical records, the fact that he had well over close to 36 dental appointments in the matter of 18 months, and there was nothing wrong with his teeth. At a base that had nothing to do with dental records. I mean, it's bizarre. I mean, it goes way beyond bizarre. But we saw the documentation. We think that he was a subject of mind control. Wow. And this isn't Twilight Zone stuff. This is bona fide fact according to his records. Yeah. Again, where did the arrows point? Yeah. So we didn't know who he was. He could have been anybody that anybody wanted him to be at the time.
And we need to, we've been talking about mind control on the show a few weeks ago in several episodes. I mean, there are declassified documents now. It's pretty much old stuff. MK Ultra, it's old stuff. Okay, there was something from the 70s, and it's their official CIA declassified documents. So we're not talking about Santa or some other magic things happening out there. This is real. This is science. This is unfortunately science.
Oh, absolutely, it's been going on for years.
And unfortunately, it's used for bad purposes. And we know now that this is not just one single episode. Now, we were talking before the show, all this drama, all this crime, all this pain, all this death. And then there's always the point, problem, reaction, people freaked out, and they have the solution. When I was telling before, cui bono, who's going to benefit? If I will remember, I wasn't, of course, even at the country then, I was in Italy at the time. But what happened there, we had one of the biggest pieces of anti-American, anti-rights pieces of legislation that pretty much was, sold to the public as some sort of a help to stop this domestic terrorist right wing, and so we had a very much incredible pieces of terrible legislation before the Patriot Act. They were pretty much almost like a precursor to the Patriot Act, and if we can remember, the Clinton administration really benefit a lot out of this because the militia movement at the time, at least the Patriot movement, people that would believe that the New World Order was coming, the United Nations, and the government was pretty much controlled by international bankers and all these things, they started to disappear, at least started to slow down. Can you comment on that?
Well, the legislation, yeah. In fact, General Parton and I had gone over that when I was at his house, and he said there was more than enough legislation already on the books. Him being a military officer and a retiree after 35 years, he kept up with the legislation. He was very smart, very intelligent guy. And what he told me is this was overkill. There was no need to put this. It was the omnibus anti-terrorism bill of 1995. And Bill Clinton put it in there for whatever reason, and they just, it was completely useless, and it didn't have to be put in there. So what did the delegation, the congressional delegation from both the U.S. Senate and U.S. House from Oklahoma do? They kept their mouth shut. Mm-hmm. Not one person from the delegation on the House or the Senate lifted their finger to try to get the truth on this case, nor did they stall or filibuster that legislation. What they do, they dragged in the victims' family members and survivors and put on one heck of a melodramatic show on Capitol Hill for 5 days to try to push this through. And it still didn't pass for another 8 months. Wow. Why? Because there was nothing to it. Yeah. Bill Clinton was furious. His close aides pretty much, they had to, I don't know how they wrangled. They did a lot of horse trading in the back room. They finally got it through the Senate. But it stalled for another 8 months after the bombing.
Wow. So
it was just horrible.
That was pretty much, in my opinion, the step before the Patriot Act and the National Defense Authorization Act, and now we're living pretty much in America that is before pre-Magna Carta. And when I say that, it's so important because now we are back into the Middle Ages, the ages of darkness. When people still believe that we are, the land of the free, of the brave, I'm sorry. Don't want to disappoint you. I wish it was true. It used to be true, but that's gone a long time ago. And for sure now, the government, or whatever it is, official government that we think it is our government, but does not represent us anymore, is been pretty much used to completely destroy every resemblance of America we used to have. Because now, I remind you one more time, my dear listeners, and this is not, unfortunately, I still meet people that they don't believe it. When I say this, are you kidding me? National Defense Authorization Act, this piece of legislation that was in 2012, 2013, and we still have it now, 2014. Let me tell you exactly in simple words that even an immigrant like myself can explain, okay, even with my accent and my poor grammar. Let me tell you exactly how it works. Now, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, Chris. Right now, the government or anybody in the government that has pretty much these bureaucratical powers can design any one of us, American citizens, not just naturalized American like myself. You are born blue blood American, you can be pretty much become a suspect of terrorism. And we know very well that now the word terrorism is pretty much vague and wide and doesn't need to have any more the rag on your head, and drive a camel. You can be now a terrorist just because pretty much you have something to say against the government, or you don't like the war, or you are for, the Second Amendment, or you are a Christian, or you are against the global government, or you are maybe a veteran. That's pretty much official documents from the federal government. Now, once you are defined as a terrorist, due process is gone. For the first time right now, till before the Magna Carta, when the king, said, by the way, before I put your butt in the dungeon, I must prove, or at least I must have some sort of a body of the crime, it's gone. Mm-hmm. They can throw you out for indefinitely detention. That means you're never going to have access to a judge, a jury, a trial, and they can let you rot in jail forever.
This is like the gulags in Russia in the 1920s and all the way up to the 1960s.
Yes. This is, for me, give me chills to my back. And the sad thing, when it all started, of course, we had 9/11 Patriot Act, and people need to read that. And when they were the Republicans, they were not concerned about the Patriot Act because, after all, there is Bush. It's one of us. It's in America. Don't worry about it. Give some of your rights. It's going to defend us and protect us from the evil Arabs. Guess what? Now we have Obama doing the same thing Bush did, but multiplied by 10. And it's always like some sort of a progression. And unfortunately, this situation that we've been talking right now at Oklahoma City bombing, that was pretty much the beginning, in my opinion, of this type of legislation. And it all progressed to now the final touch of the National Defense Authorization Act. Listen, let's talk about something else, because at this point, I would like to remind everybody that want to learn about 9/11, Oklahoma City bombing, go to freemindfilms.com, and you can get the DVD A Noble Lie, Oklahoma City, 1995. And it's so important that after you watch it and you verify the information, you share, get your family, get a party together, get your neighbors. And this is not just to try to say, let's get together, let's have some kumbaya moment. This is so important. When you have a community that is educated, and next time you start to face your congressman or even your local representative of a state or of the county, you need to share these crimes. And when they start to think and they start to use their brain and they have enough evidence to say, oh my God, we've been lied, we've been completely misled, we've been used, then they'll start to understand, their minds start to open, they will start to operate, if they are good people, in the right way. And for the future, because we had seen nothing yet, this is just the beginning, this is not the end. That's why it's so important we learn from the past. So now we can start to also go on their faces. Because when I go now in a public event in front of a congressman office or a county supervisor meeting or anything, and there's an opportunity to bring facts, I can't stay anymore silent. I would be guilty. If once I know the truth and I'm silent, I'm as guilty as them. And this is very important. It is not just about something we can do today in this life. I'm sure we want to do the best to change things for better and expose the criminals, but also as a human beings, if you believe there is an afterlife, One day we'll be asked, what did you do or what did you say after you knew the truth? And regardless you think today you're winning or losing, you still need to speak up and act accordingly, your beliefs and the truth. This is pretty much what I wanted to talk about this. That's why it's so important. Get the video, A Noble Lie, and share it, learn and share it. Now, let's talk about new projects. What's going on at the Free Minds Films? What is the new project that you're working on?
We are actually, thank you. That was a great summation, by the way. Very, very succinct and well done.
Thank you.
The third film that we have, a follow-up to our second one, which is State of Mind, Psychology of Control, which did very well also. The third one is called Shadow Ring, and this is an academic review, very much in the same light as we did the first two films. Present the facts, present the experts, offer solutions, and then, empower the viewer to use their intelligence, because there's a lot of very smart people out there. And the third one is going to be an academic review of the Council on Foreign Relations. And it is called Shadow Ring, and it's based on, in fact, I'm looking at the two books here of my studio desk. Shadows of Power, the Council on Foreign Relations and the American Decline, was written in 1988 by James Perloff, just an incredible writer. And he's since done he released a follow-up in 2013 called Truth is a Lonely Warrior, Unmasking the Forces Behind Global Destruction. What this does, and what we're going to attempt to do, and I think we've really got a pretty good handle on it, thanks to James and helping us with the outline and the screenplay, adapting the book to the screen, was that we'll present who is actually running the world today. I mean, it's that simple and yet so complex. 118 of the most powerful families in the world, whether it be media, medicine, natural resources, your food, who's moving the chess pieces around the board here. What that does is it'll give you a better idea of, okay, on a local level, how are we, under the subservience of these people? And what can we do to take back our cities, our counties, and our states? Because in the end, that's the only independence we have. We're not going to go after the big fish, but we can actually take the food away from the big fish, for lack of a better analogy. So what this film does is it's going to give you a review of the historical perspective of who's running the world, how they got in power, how they maintain their power, and then we're going to offer solutions on that. Okay, well, you know what? It's probably not as bad as you think, and there are solutions here. And this is, once again, a historical perspective, because the only way we're going to take back our independence in our country is to know who we're facing and what the solutions are.
Exactly. And this is so important, because now we see the end results of some evil plan, and we know that we've been hit left and right: the economy, the sovereignty, the freedom, the rights, the illegal constitutional wars. We are really pretty much being destroyed morally, economically. Almost even my dogs know that something is very wrong with America right now. Okay, you don't need to be an evolved spirit. Just a regular person should understand that something really changed. This is not the America anymore of your grandfather. Okay, but still we don't understand where to point the finger. If we still think that when there is a Republican in charge, it's the Republican's fault, or when there is the Democrat, it's all Obama's fault. We don't understand, maybe, or many of us understand, but there is still enough people out there, unfortunately, that they think it is just some sort of a party problem, or maybe some politician problem. These are just the puppets. And that's why it's so important what you're doing. I think it's one of the most vital information we have, because even if tomorrow people say, we got to fight, what you going to fight? Where are you going to? You go to try to throw rocks at buildings or innocent people that have been used as instrument of evil? We need to find the roots of evil. That's why I said the Council of Foreign Relations, in my opinion, as of course even as bad or worse or the same as the private Federal Reserve. And we must understand what is this organization, what exactly is the purpose. And there is people a few years ago used to think it was a bunch of conspiracy. And also, of course, some mainstream big talk radio hosts, they used to not even talk about it on the air. When somebody used to call Rush Limbaugh and used to use the word Council of Foreign Relations, he used to laugh, ha ha ha, it's a joke, boom, and hang it up. These are official, first of all, exist. There is a website, cfr.org, if I will remember. More important, there are, before us, famous politicians, like, for example, former Senator Barry Goldwater. I'm sure you're familiar, that he wrote a book that by the way, I read a couple of times, and with no apologies. I think it's page 231, if I will remember. It pretty much synthesizes what is this Council of Foreign Relations. And if I can give you the summary, it is an international organization. Pretty much it's originated in England, and the purpose it is to destroy American sovereignty and pretty much every country that believes in national boundaries, and create one world rule established. So this is so important. We have a very, was a conspiracy theorist guy. There was a senator and also for president. And there is so much more information. There are books like Tragedy in a Hope by Professor Carol Quigley. There is, by the way, was a Bill Clinton mentor. And now we need to start to understand that the Council of Foreign Relations, every member of cabinets of the last, how many administrations, I think, at least probably since its creation, I guess, since when it was created in 1921, almost every president, I say every president, has members of cabinet or bureaucrats in high position of the government. They are all members of Council of Foreign Relations. Is that true?
Sure. Yeah, in fact, I'm looking at the second book here in the back. It says since 1921, the CFR was founded. It has produced 21 Secretaries of Defense of War, 19 Treasury Secretaries, 18 Secretaries of State, and 16 CIA Directors. Well, if that isn't loading the deck, I don't know what is. There's no objectivity there. There's no independence. These guys got the run of the table from the word go.
Exactly.
And that's what we're going to try to expose.
Exactly. And it is so important because at this point, now more and more we can start to hear it. By the way, I play a few times on the show former Vice President Dick Cheney that he was so proud and laughing. I think I will play this clip again that, during the campaign, he did not mention that he was a proud member. I think also was the chairman for a moment of the Council for Relations. Like almost he knew that the moment that he started to talk about this during the campaign, people that have a little bit of knowledge understand that this is not good for America. And this beautiful thing now, and I've been sarcastic, these bastards, they're telling us in our face and they're laughing at us. Because when you hear the clip of this individual, Dick Cheney, every Republican that still believe that Dick Cheney is a good man and he believes in keeping this country safe, I think you must be your brain pretty much go to a mental evaluation.
I would rank him as an unindicted war criminal.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah, and this is something that, I wish that wasn't true. But after all I say, guys, let's not get political. I'm not here trying to judge parties. I'm independent. I don't care anymore anything. I realized that the scam was over a long time ago. But after we understand, and you can see yourself, that this CFR, Council of Foreign Relations, is exactly one of the most dangerous thing to America's freedom and sovereignty and our Constitution, our Bill of Rights. After we understand that, and we have enough evidence out there, all you have to do, read the books, read the evidence, read the script, and also the official message and statement of this organization, you realize that if you support anybody that is affiliated to this criminal organization, in my opinion, I think, as I said, you have a problem. Now, let me see if I can find, because this is something that I think was important. Let me see if I can find this little clip, because it's something that we should at least replay one more time, because sometimes people, you can tell them things, try to find books and things, but sometimes...
A special televised meeting of the New York-based Council on Foreign Relations provides a window to the real story. The speaker, Vice President Dick Cheney, takes a question from David Rockefeller.
Vice President, I just enjoyed so much your whole speech, but I was particularly pleased that you gave such a strong endorsement for the free trade agreement for all the Americas, subject that has been of great concern to me for many years, and particularly recently, and I think it's absolutely essential for the strength of our economy.
Rockefeller's role in the drive for an FTAA was a lot more central than he portrays. Rockefeller cultivated Latin American leaders who could be counted on to support such a proposal. Both the 1994 Miami Summit and the FTAA proposal were conceived and nurtured by a Rockefeller-created network. Prominent among the organizations sponsoring the Miami event were the Council of the Americas, founder and honorary chairman David Rockefeller, the Americas Society, chairman David Rockefeller, the Forum of the Americas, founder David Rockefeller, the Institute for International Economics, financial backer and board member David Rockefeller. The Trilateral Commission, founder and honorary chairman David Rockefeller. Rockefeller's influence also extends to the current administration. He was chairman emeritus of the CFR when Vice President Dick Cheney once served as a director, a relationship that Cheney concealed during his congressional career.
It's good to be back at the Council on Foreign Relations. As Pete mentioned, I've been a member for a long time and was actually a director for some period of time. I never mentioned that when I was campaigning for re-election back home in Wyoming.
Ha, 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 ha. Here we go, dear friends. Republicans who are still going around thinking that Mr. Cheney, by the way, Skull and Bones himself, secret society that you got to understand what exactly is going on there. That's another story. Pretty much make fun of you. Everybody will still believe that you know the truth. You think you know the truth. What do you think about this statement, Chris?
Well, he's an arrogant, and I'm going to be. I know this is a family-oriented show, but
yes,
he's an arrogant SOB.
Yes,
and he knows that he's in the catbird seat. He knows he has control of the reins, and he doesn't give a rat's rear end about us. Hasn't for quite some time. So for him to even admit to be affiliated with that organization, let alone be a former director, I mean, you're looking into the abyss there. This is a very ugly person, and I consider him a sociopath.
Yes.
Really do. For what he did, even in the Gulf War, it was just incredibly. It's just disgusting.
You know what is very sad? If you're something that you're part of it and you're proud, you don't go around saying, haha, I did not disclose this during the election. I mean, you admitted that you know that something is very wrong with this organization. Otherwise, you would be proud. I mean, if I'm part of some sort of organization that I think it's good, I'm not making fun like that. I mean, I would never try to make a mock out of this. Anyway, I would like to say one more time, because this is important. The purpose of this show is to give you the ammunition, and I'm not just talking about the ammunition we will talk in the second hours. I'm talking about the information ammunition, the ammunition for your brain, to create a logic, to expose evil and darkness with light and with information. One of these DVDs, I really tell you, please guys, go. All my money normally goes in this, okay? Besides I buy guns or ammunition, I like to buy information, especially support companies like Free Mind Films. Go to freemindfilms.com and get everything you can get out of these DVDs, because it's so important to disclose, expose this Oklahoma City bombing, and more important, I can't wait to see this new project, Shadow Ring, going to be released for 2015. Now, I give you the floor.
That's
you
correct.
got 60 seconds for the floor for the end. Go ahead, Chris.
We've got Kevin Sorbo is actually doing the narration for our third film. Great actor, renowned in Hollywood, has a respect of all the way from the A-list down to the new actors. And he's on board with us solid, so that's going to open up a whole new market for us. And I want to thank you for bringing me on. And if anybody has any questions on any of our films, on where we got our information, I'll do my best to supply that. They can email me personally at chris@freemindfilms.com, and I'll be happy to answer any of the questions. Thank you again for having me on.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chris. And you don't go away, guys and girls, because we have the second hour. We'll talk about interesting things when it comes down to ballistics and ammunition and tacticals. See you later. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-zanna on Guerrilla Media Network. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-zanna on Guerrilla Media Network. Here we are, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom, hour number 2, and this is about guns and training. Today, as usually, I'd like to talk with you about something practical that we can do to prepare, to be better gun owners, to be responsible gun owners, but also to be more, efficient gun owners, because we must know, and we should remember that we are accountable for every round we shoot out of that barrel. And we understand, ammunitions are getting a little better, but still not affordable as we used to be. And sometimes, we don't have time, especially when it's cold and maybe we are busy during the week, to drive all the way to the range. But one of the things I learned, and I was so excited when the first time I pretty much understood this concept, the concept of front sight dry practice. At front sight, they share this idea of dry practicing. And I think it's something very valuable for every gun owners. I don't care if you shoot in shotgun, handgun, rifle. You should dry practice, in my opinion. We should all dry practice at least a couple times a week. If it's possible, even a little bit every day. Today I have with me my friend Jeff Liesen, it is, by the way, it's a pro. It is a trainer, and is like, Jim, what are you? Tell us again.
Well, I am a firearms instructor certified by the NRA, and I'm also on the instructional staff at Front Sight, as you mentioned. Mm-hmm. And that's also where I learned about dry fire practice.
Very good.
It's an important component, just like a piano player would do scales, or that a violinist would do chords. It's very important to practice because of muscle memory. It takes thousands of repetitions to get something ingrained into muscle memory. And shooting, as you know, Luca, is a perishable skill.
Yes.
So if you don't do it, you lose it.
Yes, I agree. And I tell you, I want to be very honest, the last couple of months I've been kind of, busy with life, between trying to understand what's going on with health insurance and business and everything else. I didn't have a chance to go really training at the range like I used to, and normally not even dry practice. And normally I dry practice a little bit every morning. I didn't do it for 2 months, and I went to the range like a week ago, said, wow, I need to go back into dry practice.
It shows, doesn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah, especially when you have, it's important because, as I said, the first thing I would like to suggest to everybody, the best, most honest friend is a timer, right? Do you like a timer? Mm-hmm. And, we all can shoot, I guess, some level, but the point is we all normally have some average, and that is, for me, it's very important because, like, when you have a car, okay, you have a car that your life depends on, and you're on the highway, and you know what you can do with that car. You know if you can, surpass the track, or you should stay there because you want to know how much speed you have, how much power you have to do some specific maneuver. And I believe one of the most important things that many of us sometimes, especially at the beginning when we don't have appropriate training, we think we have a gun and we think in the moment of the need we're going to perform like Superman. Unfortunately, that's not what happens, and it's very important to know our limitations before we make a conscious decision if we want to pull the gun out of not. Because, for example, I would like to ask to the average listener, how long would you take in the case of needs from conceal? Because normally nobody walks around with a gun on their hands, okay? This is not like you're walking around like a bag of potatoes, okay? The gun must be concealed, or at least on your holster, let's put it this way, in the state of Arizona. And you should know, every one of us should know, how long it would take to, first of all, present that gun into a fight and from the holster or conceal and deliver at the average, let's say, handgun fighting distance, let's say 7 yards, or at least colloquial distance, a control pair and hit the target. That would be, I think, something very important we all of us should know. And I know there is a standard that Front Sight is pretty much firm about it. I think it's very good. For example, I remember that about 7 yards, you must present your gun from a concealed holster in about probably 2 seconds, if I don't remember, in the test.
1.5 seconds is the timer.
1.5 seconds.
On that shot.
Yes, at 7 yards or 5 yards. I think it was 5 yards for that, all right?
Well, you could have a point. I don't have that list in front of me, but
anyway,
it varies because the longer the distance, the more time they give you.
Yes, but let's say 1.5 seconds control pair from conceal at a colloquial distance. That would pretty much the situation. So I would challenge every listener that pretty much shoot the gun regularly to wear your gun in your holster and at the range, of course, in a safe environment, and have a target about 5 yards, let's say, and have a specific center mass area, not just everywhere, okay, in a specific center mass area. And let's see your time. Let's start with that as some sort of a benchmark, okay? And but now let's talk how we can improve our skills, and how more important, how can we do this dry practice in a safe way. Jim, what is your input in start to create, first of all, a good dry practice environment?
Well, I actually have a flyer on this that we actually give out to our clients. It's such an important component of training. I have a printed form that I give to people. Mm-hmm. And there's a procedure, and you really have to follow this procedure because If you don't, sooner or later you'll get complacent and you may wind up putting a bullet through your closet door. And we all know that there's two sounds in a gunfight that are extremely noisy, and one of them is a bang when you expect to hear a click.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to have that happen while you're trying to practice. The number one thing to do is to start with procedure component number one: control the area. You close the door, turn off the phone, turn off the TV. You don't want any distractions of any kind anywhere near what you're about to do. You have to. It's just like yoga practice. You don't do yoga when you got the kids running around and the TV in the background. You have to concentrate on yoga. So you also have to concentrate on dry practice.
Exactly. So
then you want to separate yourself from the gun and all the ammunition.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing you do is unload the gun, and then you unload your magazines, and then you move the ammunition out of the training area completely. So there's absolutely no way, while concentrating on one thing, you can accidentally load your gun up and, like I said, shoot your closet. You don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Then after you've made sure it's completely unloaded, unload it again just to verify.
Yes.
And then I like to place a target. For me personally, I like to use a target that's about 6 or 7 or 8 feet away. I happen to like to use a 1-inch square colored in block of black, just black. It's just a 1-inch by 1-inch black square.
Mm-hmm.
And I use that at that distance because magically and coincidentally, when I use my front sight on that target, the front sight gives me visual clues because at that distance, it's about the same size as that 1-inch black square on the wall.
Yes, and I like to do that. Well, normally what I do, I have this piece of cardboard that I staple one of the front sight targets. I like them very much because you have, first of all, this body-shaped target. We don't just shoot at, honestly, I never shoot at circular, shooting targets. I like to recreate as much as possible a real fighting situation. So I know in many states, by the way, or some states, correct me if I'm wrong, I heard that you cannot even shoot at body-shaped targets on the East Coast. So here we can in Arizona. So get a body-shaped target. Honestly, I like a lot these front sight targets because they also have the 1 square inch, as you were talking about, on the 4 extremities of the target. So you can do both exercises on the body and also on the 1 square inch. And then what I like about that, put it on this cardboard because, as you were saying, you always want to have a place where you shoot. I mean, the target must be present only when you do the training. After the training is over, we say it out loud, almost like a little robot. Training is over, and gun goes back.
It's dry practice.
Exactly. And the target must be hidden because that's what happens. We ingrain that memory, movement, muscle movement to every time you see the target, do your presentation or whatever you got to do. And for a moment, we forget that we had now a bullet in the round. A round in the chamber, and sudden click becomes a bang. That's why the target must be used only during this dry practice section, and then we put it away. So that's pretty much the story. What do you think about these, snap caps or inert training rounds? I like them, honestly. Frontside does not recommend them, but I use them. What do you think about that?
Well, I think they have a very valuable place in training. I use them quite a bit when I'm on the range. I don't use them in dry practice because I don't feel that I need to. I can do all my malfunction clearances, my reloading, and so forth without them.
Okay.
But I think they do add a level of realism that is useful. Where I use dry caps on or snap caps on the range is when I have a client that just doesn't understand that they really are jumping on the gun and they're squeezing really hard and then they don't recognize that they're moving the gun before the shot goes off.
Yeah.
I'll offer to load their gun for them, and I'll load a magazine with 2 or 3 of these snap caps in a random order, and it induces a malfunction, so they get a click instead of a bang, and then we can all see what's going on. So I find them very valuable in training, but for dry practice, I don't necessarily use them myself, but I know a lot of people do.
Okay, normally
I'm relatively neutral on it, I guess.
Yeah, you know what I like him for, that especially if I do, for example, something we're going to talk right now, like the emergency reload, and I like to have the loaded magazine, the magazine that is going to replace the empty magazine, to make it cycle correctly. I like to put, of course, a couple of rounds at least, and especially with malfunction number 3 that we will talk briefly lately, I like to have, to make it more realistic. Yeah, you can still clear malfunction number 3 without rounds, but I don't know, something that I like. I always, just the only one to be sure, I always keep them completely separate from any other ammunition. These are snap caps, they are completely fake ammunition. They don't do bang, and you don't want to mix them up. Now, what I'll do, I was talking about before about this very valuable tool that I think every serious gun owner should buy, and it is this timer, okay, the buzzer timer. And right now I'm setting it up for 1.5 seconds. Let me see. Here we go. This is the time.
Wow.
This is the time that normally is the standard that when people train at front sight should at least be able, a regular person, from concealed at the colloquial distance, we're talking about between 5 and 7 yards, present the gun into a fight and secure to guarantee a control pair into the center cavity mass. 1.5 second presentation with 2 shots placed in the center mass. And it's very important. This is, for me, it wasn't about a challenge with the world. It was about a challenge with myself to be sure that I can guarantee some sort of level of efficiency, safety, and also, like you say, you have a gun, you must know your limits. And what I like then, you start to improve. It's like almost you were saying a yoga where you want to reach the limits of your body. For me, I like the timer because once, I reach a goal, for example, I don't know, let's say I can do in a dry practice session or a regular session, I can do like an emergency reload in 2.1 seconds. And then I want to start to trim it down, maybe go to 1.5 seconds, And I think it's very important to try to realize how much we want to reach our limits. Now, let's start with the basic dry practice exercise that we would like to start. Right now, for example, I'm in the room. I have no ammunition around me. I have an empty handgun, at least it's a Glock 40 caliber, model 22, and I have some snap caps. And of course, I am sitting down on the studio table here, so I'm not exactly shooting, but at least I want to make you sound the idea that this is exactly what normally dry practice sound. Instead of a bang, we have a click. That's very important. Now, the first exercise I would suggest, or at least to start to think, that people normally at the range, they go and they have their gun on the table, and they have all the time to think, and they have the target in front of them without moving, and they think just because they can hit the target or the center of the target, everything's cool. They're ready. They forgot that most of the time we carry a gun in our holster. So I think the draw, I don't really see many people practicing the draw at the range. Do you, Jim?
Well, no, but most people don't even have good holsters to begin with, which also discourages them to use.
Exactly.
But you're right. What I see at the range just drives me crazy because people go to have a good time, and they don't know that having some kind of regimen for training is so important. I was there with a client last week, and we were getting ready to start actually doing something important. We had a goal, we had something in mind, and we knew what we were going to do. And another guy came by, and he was friendly and everything. He asked if we could use the range with us. We said sure. And he set up, and he just started blasting away. He probably shot 50 rounds, 3 or 4 magazines worth, just bam, 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 magazine change, blam, blam.
Wow.
And he had no goal. He just was blasting away.
Sad, very sad.
And that's what people do. And he just spent 50 shells, or 50 cartridges, basically for the fun and enjoyment of shooting. And then he said, hey, I got a birthday present, and this is a gift from my dad, and I just wanted to really come out and shoot it. And now my client and I together shot 30 rounds and had a serious training session.
Yes. And that's what
we only shot 30 rounds.
Yeah, this is so good. I'm glad you're saying that, because this is exactly when I go with new friends. I have my private range here in Mojave County, and I go there, bring friends that they have guns, and I say, come on, let's train a little together. And they never had this type of mindset that you're talking about. I say, guys, they ask me, how many rounds should I bring? 200 rounds? No, bring 25 rounds. And they freak out. So 25 rounds, what do you do with that? Bring more if you want to, but let me show you 25 rounds, how long we can focus and how much good results we can get. So what I do, exactly as we said, we have a goal. First of all, we don't blast. We don't blast cans. We don't blast bottles. There is a real target, and we start to have some sort of what we want to accomplish today. What is exactly the goal? And what I like about to incorporate for every round we shoot at least 5 or 6 dry practice shots, okay? I mean, dryer shots without ammo. So we can do, for every round we shoot, we can do dry at least 4 or 5 times, because that will also help us out to really see our problems and saving ammo. And at the same time, you shoot like 5 times more just shooting 1 round. Because if every time I do shoot 1 round, I do 5 dry practice, here we go. But as you say, it's very true. Many people don't have goals. They just go there. And especially now when you start to see the prices of ammo, it's so sad, you know. A box of 50 rounds of 45, it's almost $20, if not more in some shops, you know. So it's disturbing to waste the ammo like that. So that's why I say let's have a goal, and let's have also incorporate some dry practice in our session. Now, we're talking about just dry practice, though, into the house, in a safe environment with no live ammo. So the draw is something that we were talking about, and the first thing you were mentioning, I think, is very important, to have the right holster. I hate when I see this floppy generic holster, that most of the time they are such dangers on top, you know, they got this gun that may fall any time, and people don't understand that to have and achieve that type of speed, or at least the standard that we were talking about, to guarantee at least a couple control pair in a center mass cavity in less than 1.5 seconds, every part of you, also your hardware of your equipment, is going to be very important, even the holster. If you have a funky holster and it's going to pretty much hold your gun, or pretty much, you know, the gun is not even going to come out, you realize then that you have something you need to work on. So let's start with to have a right gun and the right holster. Which holster do you suggest most of the time?
Well, I find that you have to just have a high quality holster, like you were mentioning. The nylon universal cheap holster, and I call it the universal cheap holster for a reason. It's cheap. It usually costs $5 to $10, maybe it's 15, and it holds a whole lot of different guns, but it doesn't hold any of them very well.
No.
So you kind of have to have a gun or a holster that's dedicated to the gun you're using. I happen to be very partial to Blade Tech and Comp Tech holsters and Blackhawk holsters. I think they're excellent.
Yeah, I like them too.
They securely hold the gun, they completely cover the trigger guard, and they cover the muzzle of the gun. So they work effectively and efficiently, and that's one of the things I really like about a good holster.
Okay, so we start with the good holster, and then another thing I would like to remind, seems like for people that already know, maybe it's superfluous, but I think when I go bring friends, they all think that, okay, they have a handgun, they have a holster, and then they can stash somehow, somewhere, their backup magazine. Normally I would like to have you hear the word magazines, but they keep one. And it's somewhere. Where it is, we don't know, but no problem, I'll get it when I need it. And then when I start to show them that we have, for example, some basic skills to share, like even just a tactical reload that is pretty much just replacing a full magazine with the one that you just shot few rounds, okay? It probably takes them a life just to figure it out, how to remove out of their jeans pocket their full magazine. That's why it's so important to have, along with a good dedicated handgun holster, also a good magazine pouch. And I don't like these floppy things that normally they come with Velcro. I like the same type of plastic material, Kydex, whatever they're called, that normally the guns the handgun holster is. You know, they're very nice, easy to have access. So we have our handgun in our real holster. We have our magazine in our side, opposite side of the holster. And little tip, since we're talking about little tips. Normally, Jim, you know there is a way that we want to keep our magazine in a particular position. You don't just slap the magazine inside your holster, in your magazine pouch the way it is. There is a way to have more easy access.
Well, there absolutely is a way, and number one, you want to keep it in the same position all the time. If you have a dedicated holster for your gun and you have a dedicated holster for your magazine, and if you practice with them, then you'll know where the magazine is when you need it in a hurry. And the whole purpose to this practice is to ingrain muscle memory.
Exactly.
So if we practice it over and over and over, then we don't have to think about it when the time comes to go get it. And the position of the magazine is the same way. The bullets are in the magazine; they always point towards the dirt bag.
Exactly. So the idea is to have always the bullet in the magazine pointing towards your adversary. And the reason why when we come and try to catch that magazine, you don't just catch it like a cone, like an ice cream cone or some sort of, something. You always want to be sure that you index with your finger of your index the tip of the bullet, at least very close to that, so you have some sort of a help when you need to pretty much insert it in the magazine well, correct?
Exactly. I used this little analogy the other day. I saw one of my clients, and she's a beginner. Mm-hmm. She grabbed the magazine by the end of it, mm-hmm. where it's, there's the bottom of the base plate. You can pick it up, and it pulls off very nicely. And then 3 or 4 or 5 inches later was the end of the magazine where the cartridges come out. And I stopped her, and I said, now here's how we do this. I said, you know how when you're driving down the road and you want to pick your nose with a pencil? Mm-hmm. And she laughed. She says, I don't pick my nose with a pencil. I said, that's right. You pick it with the tip of your finger. And she blushed, and I said, now why do we do it that way? And she says, because I don't like to get my pencil dirty. I said, well, no, it's because you can find the end of your nose with the end of your finger a lot easier than if you had a pencil sticking out of your hand. Mm-hmm. And because of that, we want to be able to find the bottom of our gun in a hurry. Yes. And we can do that with the tip of our finger a lot easier than if we hold the magazine at the bottom.
Yes.
So by grabbing and every hand and every magazine is going to be different because of the shape of the hand and the size of the magazine. But you want to learn how to pick your magazine up so that when you pick it up, your index finger is pointed down at the bottom and is touching the last round, the one that's sticking out of the gun or out of the magazine. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that way we can push on it to make sure it's in there. We can make sure it's there just by touching it. And then when we index it and slide it up into the magazine well, we know where the magazine well is because our finger goes to that spot very easily.
Exactly. So this is
something... You can do it in the dark, and you can do it without looking, and you can do it in a hurry.
So that's what I would start to say. Even basic things like this, where you're just talking, you get your dry practice session, and we start to be familiar, first of all, with our magazine. In this case, if you want, I like to have these snap caps, this fake ammunition, okay? At least I can feel also the feeling of the tip of the bullet in case I want to do it. And I can put my gun into my holster and start to exactly see with my magazine in the right position, in the right pouch, and the gun in my right holster. At that point, I can start to see, feeling really exactly the basic operation. Let's start, for example, one thing that I think seems so simple, and it is. But when you don't have the right equipment, you're never going to be able to do it in the right time. At least the first time I had some reality check, the first time I tried my first front-sight class. It is called the tactical reload. Let's explain a little bit about what it is, this tactical reload, and how it works.
Okay. Well, the tactical reload is you get into a gunfight, and you shoot a bad guy or two, and there's a lull in the gunfight, and we don't know yet if there's going to be a part 2 to the gunfight or not. Now, you may have lost count of how many times you shot, but we know that you do not have a fully loaded gun, right? Mm-hmm. So if there's a lull in the gunfight, it might be a perfect opportunity to trade the magazine out for a fully loaded one in case round 2 comes along and you're not ready for it. So a tactical reload is nothing more than ejecting the magazine out of the gun, putting it in a pocket, and getting a fresh magazine and inserting it into the gun. That's it. Nothing fancy. It's just trading the magazine. Everything's ready to go in case you have to shoot. And that way, if you have to have a round 2 of your gunfight, you've got a fully loaded magazine.
Yeah, and there are different ways to do it. There is the advanced way, and then there is, of course, the basic way. I always start with the basic way. At least I like the way front sight teaches that there's a good way. For example, first of all, you check your magazine. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're the instructor, okay? I'm just a professional student, I call myself, okay? Or a dedicated student, let's put it this way. First of all, you check for your mag, just to be sure you have it. And then at that point, you remove the partially spent magazine out of the gun, but you don't throw it away, and you put it in a side pocket, okay? And at that point, you reach for the brand new, fresh magazine, and you install it inside the gun. And there is a time. Let's see if you, instructor, remember the time, because I forgot it. What is, for the semi-auto, what is, 4 seconds, maybe?
It's about a second and a half or 2 seconds.
Sure.
To be honest with you, I don't know the time because it's something that when you go to that class, you do it hundreds of times.
I know.
Everybody does that one very well.
Yeah. Anyway, but something that I have friends that I brought to shoot with me, and it's some sort of basic things we do with our little training. You know, I like to share with them the 25 rounds front sight basic test for the 4 days handgun class curriculum. I think it's a very good way to have some goals and shoot together. And believe it or not, many people the first time, they have problems because they don't have the right pouch for their magazines, and sometimes even their jeans or their pants, they're not right to stash immediately in a fast way because you don't want to drop the magazine. The magazine is still being partially used, so you still have good ammo there, so you don't want to drop it. You want to put it in a side pocket. If you don't have a pocket that is really available, you're going to lose probably another second there. So let's start to get in that type of mindset. Every time you carry a gun, even your pants, every part of your equipment is very important if you want to guarantee some sort of a standard. Now, we were talking about the tactical reload. That is a very simple way to do it, just swapping a fresh magazine into substituting the one that you just shot a few rounds in a low of a gunfight. Now let's go something that is more aggressive, or at least takes maybe more skills, is the emergency reload. How would you describe the emergency reload?
An emergency reload is you just shot the last round that's in the gun. Mm-hmm. And you'll find that different schools have different strategies. Some of them will say never shoot to the last round. Other ones will say shoot what you've got. So it's really kind of irrelevant. But when you do run out, most modern guns, the slide mechanism will lock to the rear. Mm-hmm. And if you have experience, you might feel that sensation. If not, you're going to press the trigger and it'll go. It's just not going to happen. So you'll tip the gun up to look at it. You don't bring it down to look, but you just tip the gun up to look at it. You'll recognize that you're empty. And while reaching back to grab a new magazine, you're readjusting your handgun grip so that your thumb on your firing side can eject the magazine while you're bringing up the other one and replacing it. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a couple things that are important with an emergency reload. First off, we don't want to clue away to the bad guy that we're empty.
Yeah.
So if you bring the gun down, look at it, sorry, time out, got to reload, it just doesn't work in a gunfight. So you don't want to give away that. So you don't want to eject the magazine immediately out of your gun. That also tells the bad guy you're empty. The trick is to get the magazine in your hand, and while bringing it up towards the gun, that's when you want to eject that magazine out of the gun so that they pass basically in midair. The magazine goes into the gun, reach up over the top of the slide, rack it to the rear, and you're back in action. Or you can use your thumb if you're strong enough, but we don't recommend that because it's a fine motor skill, and gross motor skills are what you need in a gunfight. So we reach up to the slide, rack it, and get yourself right back into the gunfight.
Exactly. So this is important because, I've seen people, friends of mine, some of them they're veterans, by the way, and they're combat veterans in different branches of the armed force. And I'm telling you, something so basic, at least supposed to be so basic, to do it right, especially when you set a time. Like an emergency reload should be done in less than 2.1 seconds. Okay, and if you don't have all these simple concepts, but very well straight in your mind, and they can make it. It can make it. I mean, the idea is to be, as you said, don't just drop that magazine out until you have your other hand, the support hand, with a full magazine halfway close to replace the other magazine. Otherwise, you would pretty much give away also completely your status that you are completely out of ammo. And also another thing I noticed, many people when they do this emergency reload, they lower their gun. That means two problems. First of all, you completely give away the situation that they can see that your slide is rack in the back and you're empty. And also you need to have an extra second at least to bring your gun back on target. Instead, I like to keep the gun completely straight level. All they need to see the other side pretty much is the barrel. And at least you know that all you have to do, isolate your body from extra unnecessary movements, and all you want to work in replacing the magazine as soon as you can with the empty magazine. So, and let's see, for example, right now, I'm putting 2.1 seconds, and this would be pretty much if I will remember, the time to have an emergency reload. And if you're home, only if you're home, not if you're in a car driving, please. If you're in a safe environment, or you're at the range, okay? I know I have some friends of mine, they're listening from the range many times, the show. Believe it or not, they have the little iPhone, it's kind of fun. And let's see, at 2.1, let's do this emergency reload and see how it goes for you. Line is set, dry practice drill, ready. That's it. That's the time.
Time goes by pretty quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah, especially when you're under stress, you better get your movement very clear in your mind doing dry practice. That's why I think it's so important. Start to do. We were talking today about dry practice. You're listening to Luca-zanna and Jim Liesen on Love, Guns, and Freedom. And by the way, this is about just the concept. I want to tell you something. First of all, I'm not an instructor. Jim is. And by the way, you should go to Jim. Jim, what is your place that they can meet you? People that want to really have in real life this sort of training experience, please.
Well, I would recommend that they come and see me down here in Lake Havasu, or call me. I'll come to them. Apex Firearms is located on McCulloch Boulevard here in Lake Havasu City, and the easiest thing to do would be to go to my website, apexarmsaz.com. There's a lot of resources and a lot of good information there. And you know, something about this dry practice, Luca, that's really important. When we talk about these times of 2.1 seconds and stuff like that, that's what you can expect to do after you've had some training.
Yes.
It's not what I would expect somebody who just got a gun for Christmas to be able to go to the range and do this weekend. And you and I have been to front sight many times, so it's kind of an unfair advantage that we have. But when you do it a few hundred or a few thousand times in a training environment like at front sight, it becomes natural, it becomes easier to do. So I don't want people to think that it's intimidating to do these things.
No, you're right.
But they can do them with the right practice and the right perfect practice.
And as I said, this is not a challenge with the world. This is a journey with yourself. And the only reason why now I'm pointing out this timer, because this is just a basic standard. This is not like we are going to try to say, oh gosh, I got this time down, I'm going to be ready for the Olympic Games. No, this is just to give us, first of all, an idea. And what I like about the time, at the beginning, I don't even care about the time. The most important thing, we want to do the movement right, correctly, ingrain the right concept in our brain. Because you can do it as fast as you can, but if you're going to be dangerous or unsafe, or do in a way that could be completely wrong, by the way, that's not going to help. So at the beginning, I say, start to understand this concept very slowly, almost in slow motion, but do it in a way that your brain ingrains it. Then slowly you start to increase. And then you can start to improve with the timer. And more important, it is a way also that you know now, for example, I know my basic, when I am in a good training mode, I've been shooting regularly or things like that, I can do a control pair from conceal in 1.2 seconds. That's pretty much my decent time, okay, when I am pretty much sharp. At 7 yards, I can do control pair from conceal and hit the target where I want. But I know also that I would like to improve that, and there is always a way to improve. So that's why the timer helps. But after the beginning, you want to do, first of all, do it right and slowly. So we've been talking about emergency reload, tactical reload. Now, the most important thing, I believe, for the law-abiding citizen that is not a scumbag criminal, they're going around walking, waving the gun, because that's the advantage that unfortunately the criminals have. They going to expect you with their gun in their hands. We don't walk around in society with the guns, holding guns in our hands. We have it in a safe environment, and normally the most accessible in our holster. So we must understand that we need to work on this presentation, also called the draw. I know it's kind of difficult to do it over the radio. We can give an idea, okay? And of course,
I think so.
Let's give an idea. Okay, and right now I am, first of all, standing up. I got my handgun in my holster. And let's start to make it easier for now. Let's do it without concealment, okay? I'm just going to be standing erectus here. And I have to draw this gun outside the holster as fast as I can, but at the same time as safe as I can. For starter, I know that I've seen many times different type of holstering. Some people like the cross draw. Some people like the Magnum PI, I don't know, the
shoulder holster
the
stuff?
shoulder stuff. But there is a way that I realize, and is the safest and the faster way to have it. And you go, Jim. What is the faster and safer way to have your holster?
Well, I actually happen to prefer, and this is going to become an individual choice as well. Like you and I know, if we go to someplace like Front Sight, they're going to train you their way, and that's perfectly appropriate. But when you get home and you have to carry the gun and you make the decision to do so, you're going to find that your seatbelt clasp in your car is in a funny spot, and that may preclude you from putting it in a certain spot on your right side. You may find that cross draw is really comfortable while driving, but the gun sticks out when it's under a jacket or something when you're walking around the grocery store. So everybody's going to find a different spot, and then they're going to have to learn how to use that spot and to make this presentation effectively and efficiently and safely.
What I don't like about the cross draw, I mean, you're right. If somebody is let's say a truck driver, or you spend a lot of time in the car, it's pretty safe. I mean, it's pretty comfortable, the cross draw. You have it in a way that you can have easy access and is not sticking normally with other things. The problem, though, if in the real world situation where you walk around people and you have a 360-degree environment, normally I see when you do a cross draw, you start to muzzle a good part of your at least almost 180 degree of your world, okay? So that's why...
you don't know where that thing's pointed behind you.
Yeah, so I like... let's start now, just for sake of this training session that we're doing together to introduce this draw. Let's say we have the gun in our pretty much basic, the way front side trainers, in our hip, in our holster. In this way, it could be, doesn't matter if it's right or left. This consider, that your handgun, the strong hand, where you're going to, the firing hand. There is not a strong hand. They're all strong. We should be able to shoot both hands. But let's say the firing hand. So we have our handgun right now in our holster on our hip. A good belt really helps. I don't like to see the cheap little teeny belts that pretty much start to bend. And let's start to think about the 5 steps, or how can we pretty much introduce this gun into a fight? Go ahead, Jim.
Well, the first component to a good presentation is to get your hand on the gun in a proper firing grip. And we've all probably done this at one time or another. If you pull the gun out and you don't have that first good firing grip established on the gun, you kind of say to yourself all the way to the target, oh, it's okay, I can fix it, I can keep going, and then you break the shot and it never works. You have to have a good, solid grip on the gun before you pull it out of the holster. So the first thing is to establish that grip, and it's going to be different for everybody, but you want to, and if we're using concealment, you have to learn how to sweep that garment out of the way. But we basically want to drive our hand right down onto the back of the weapon. And we want to do it in such a way that the web of our finger, between our finger and our thumb, that big part of that part of your hand, the web of your hand, needs to go down on the back of the firearm as high up into the grip as possible. And you drive your hand down onto the grip because it'll act like a funnel. That's kind of a V-shaped feature on a gun. So as you drive your hand down onto it, your hand will naturally go down into that part of the gun where it's supposed to go. Simultaneously, you have to do something with your left hand. Now, beginning shooters will do this all the time. They don't know that they're supposed to do something with their left hand, so it kind of waves around in the front of their body without a purpose. We like to say, give that hand a purpose by slapping your midsection, and there's an important reason for it. Not just the fact that it keeps your hand in a safe place, but we're going to use it later in the next step.
Yes.
So the first step, or component number 1, is to grip the gun by driving your hand down onto it, and then slap the midsection with your non-firing hand or your support hand.
When you say midsection, is very important, because sometimes at the beginning, myself, I used to do mistakes, like we all do at the beginning, and I start to slap my chest, okay? And there is a way that you will see this is important, especially for step number 3. It must be exactly in the midsection of your belly, not just somewhere. And we will see exactly where we get in there. So number 1, we have this explosive moment that is not just also for safety, like we were talking about. We must have the support hand away from, you don't want to just have a loose hanging around, but also for speed, because if we have this sort of a contraction movement with our firing hand, reaching down the gun, as you're saying, in the best way possible, as high as possible, and have the right grip, and at the same time have this, the support hand slapping your midsection, that would give us also the speed at the beginning we need to get to reach that sort of a goal, to guarantee at least in 1.5 seconds a control pair in the special target. Now, number 2 step. What is the number 2 step?
Well, we want to lift the gun directly straight up.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on your kind of holster, if you have buttons or levers to push, you have to get that done during number 1. So that number 2 is lifting the gun straight up while maintaining your trigger finger discipline, where the finger is dead straight. The finger is nowhere near the trigger or the trigger guard in any way, shape, or form. So you literally just lift the gun straight up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's number 2. Very simple, very fast.
Very
it can
fast.
be done very quickly. So your number 1 is explosively fast.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is very fast. The third point is to pivot your shoulder and elbow down, which pivots the gun from being vertical, pointed straight down, towards the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all it is. It's a pivot. We're turning the gun 90 degrees towards the bad guy.
Yes. And by the way, this position, in expert, at least in advanced level, when you practice, you can also start to shoot from this position at close distance.
That's exactly right. And if you're arm's length away from somebody, you may have to shoot at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So the gun is pointed towards the bad guy. Your gun is, we call it close contact. The gun is really kind of underneath your armpit. You've driven down into the gun with 1, you've lifted it with 2, and you've pivoted the gun towards the bad guy with number 3. So it's right underneath your firing side armpit, or to the side of the chest, so to speak. Now, this is where it's really important to remember where that hand went during number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're about to approach number 4. And as we drive, now 4 and 5 is just driving the gun up into our target area, but we have to get our hand on our support side established on the gun in our two-handed firing grip.
Yes.
So as we go from 3 into position 4, it's the transition from holding it still under onto the side of your body up forward, and as we go forward, we sweep the support hand towards the fingers on fingers position, or gripping as the secondary grip onto the gun.
Yes.
So right at the beginning of the position of 4, we're just grasping the gun with both hands. And again, we can fire from this position.
Yes.
So at this point, the safety can come off. As we go from this position, which is in the right-hand side of our chest from our midsection, up to the 5 position, which is the final position where we can then actually shoot at the target in a more precise manner, you want to concentrate on a straight line. We like to say it's on an escalator. An escalator goes in a straight line, straight up and straight down. It does not go in a bowling fashion. It does not go in a casting position like you're bowling or fishing.
Mm-hmm.
It's in a straight line, and we want to keep the gun level during this time for many, many reasons that are kind of advanced to talk about now. But the idea here is that when you get to the 5, you should be coasting to a stop, so that all you have left to do is press the trigger. And that's the number 5 position. But one of the things that I see, Luca, on most beginning students, that would be people that have only shot maybe 500 to 1,000 rounds in a training session, or I'm sorry, in a training regimen, I should say.
Yes.
They start to get fast, and then they start to get frustrated because they can't make the shots in time.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is because they're so fast that they're yanking the gun out to the number 5 position, and they think they're just faster than fast.
Mm-hmm.
And they are. But that's the problem. By getting to the number 5 position too fast, your gun will lurch your body out of position, and then you have to re-sight, realign, and then start the trigger press all over. So this is a really weird phenomenon. What you'll see when you train somebody, you'll see them start slowly and do it very properly.
Mm-hmm.
And as time goes on, they start to get a little faster, they get more confident, and they get the motor skills started, so they start figuring out how to do this. And then they want to go fast, so they speed up. And when they start to do that, it all falls apart, and their times go bad, and they can't figure out why.
Yeah.
It's because they're going too fast from position 4 out to position 5.
Exactly. And that's why It's very important. You can do all this dry. And normally it's like almost you can accentuate it if you are especially in front of a mirror or somebody can even have a video camera. It's good to have it. Explosive, number 1, super fast. Number 2, you are fast. Number 3, you start to almost go into this slower mode. And then 4 and 5, you almost intentionally, I like to do it sometimes, even just exaggerating it, you're slowing down, because also you don't want to miss that front sight, and you want to be sure that you know exactly where you are. And as you said, and if you go too fast, 4 and 5, you have to pretty much then look for your sight and start again almost. So it's
and that's exactly true. And what happens is between the 4.5 position and 5, your gun is coming up into your peripheral vision, so your eyeballs can transition from the target towards your front sight.
Okay.
So and meanwhile, the advanced shooter is going to also start to take the slack out of the trigger.
Yes.
Your finger can go on the trigger between that 4 and 5 position. As you flip the safety off, as you put your finger on the trigger, you can take the slack out of the trigger. So you're doing several things all at one time.
Yes.
As the gun comes up into your peripheral vision, you are taking slack out of the trigger. You're concentrating on the front sight. Your eyeballs are transitioning their focus. And you're beginning the trigger press before you come to a complete stop.
Yes.
The idea here for the more intermediate or advanced shooter is that at the coasting stop of the number 5 position, you've built your pressure with your support hand on the gun. That's really what stops the gun, like a shock absorber.
Yes.
You've got your sights now aligned, and your sight picture is aligned, and half the trigger press is already done. So
Exactly.
all that remains is that last little trigger press, and boom.
And think about it, you can do all this without shooting around. And the beautiful thing that you can really see your mistakes, you can really work on details. But when you're shooting the round, all this explosion and the recoil is pretty much, you're going to miss most of the details that you want to learn when you can do this in dry practice. So it's so vital. And now we were just talking, by the way, for the listeners, new listeners, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM and on Guerrilla Media Network, and also on my website, www.lovegunsfreedom.com. My name is Luca-zanna, and we're talking with Jim Liesen. He's a handgun instructor, and he's a man is dedicated to share this knowledge in our community. And we're talking about Mojave County, but of course, so everybody, even from California, if you're in Needles area, whatever, and you need some handgun training, cross the river and come to America and come to train with us, okay?
I love that.
That was
come
rude.
Back to America, yes.
I'm sorry, guys, but listen, people that like Second Amendment and understand their rights, it's true. I'm sorry. I was living in California, and I consider myself a refugee 10 years ago. Never felt better the day that I crossed the river for the last time with my rider
skies
truck.
are bluer and the birds chirp louder, and you can have a real magazine in your gun.
Exactly. So anyway, that's the point, guys. We're trying to share just the concept. As I said, you need to have somebody, at least for the first few times, they can teach you these basic things. You can save thousands of dollars in ammunition. You can do this safely. And more important, you can become a responsible gun owner. We don't do these things because we want to show off at the range. Hey, look how fast I am, Mom. I mean, boom. No, because I believe with freedom comes responsibility. The moment that we decide to carry a gun, it is our duty. As human beings, as Americans, not just because the government tells us that we must have some sort of a little concealed permit, that by the way in Arizona we don't even need this anymore, we have a constitutional carry, but because it's for us. It's like, you drive a car, you want to be sure that you're safe and you know that you can use that car at the full potential. And that's why I think it's so beautiful to have opportunities here, like we have Jim, and of course there are schools out there. I mean, you want to go to front side, great, but don't be an arrogant prick, because sometimes I hate, people that they don't want to even be humble to listen to something maybe new. And these are the most dangerous people. When people, they think they know everything, but they understand they don't know it, and just because they don't want to admit it, they have this macho complex and they are dangerous, because then you have problem that they can even keep their basic muzzle safety on the way, okay? And I always say there is always to learn. There is never the land, for me, at least speaking for myself, it's like a journey, and I really like it because it's like an opportunity. Every day, even when you think you reach a level, there is always the next stage, and it's up to us how deep we want to go. But let's start from the basic. a presentation, a draw. Right now I'm going to do it. I know it's kind of hard because I'm here in the studio sitting down on my chair, but I will do it from my chair, pointing at, I have here a little target at 3 yards, and I have the timer, 1.5 seconds. Chamber check, mag check. No ammo in the room. That's the only time you can find me without a loaded gun, when I do dry practice, just to let you know. Here we go. Line is set. Ready. Here we go. I got my single shot, and I was on target. And I do also after action drill. We will talk about this next time. And next time we will talk also about stance, because, everybody has different stances, and we can talk a little bit about that. But meanwhile, I really want to say, Jim, thank you very much, because this is so important. I really appreciate what you're doing for the community around here, sharing this information at a local level in a professional way. So good. Let's give one more time, please, the way people can reach you here in Mojave County or in Lake Havasu.
The easiest way to reach me, of course, is online, and you can reach me at apexarmsaz.com. There's lots of articles in there, and we're going to start something new this year. We're going to start doing dry fire training practice drills as a weekly or biweekly component, so it gives somebody a reason to go to the range. And we're going to start publishing targets online so that you can just download them and take them to the range, so you can keep something fresh, and you'll have a reason to go. And that'll work real well with dry practice as well as live practice, and I think that'll be free to everybody. So I look forward to seeing some activity there.
That's very good. I like that. By the way, when you got the target, send it to me. I can post them on the website, www.
Oh, great idea. I'll do that.
Yeah, lovegunsfreedom.com. And this is the purpose of the show, guys. The first hour we talk about very important information, our rights, legislation, events, historical events that we must understand from different perspectives. And number two, normally we talk about guns. That's what we're doing now. And can be training, can be legislation. Today was about training. I think it's very important. This is a good information, and it's just a starting point. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to tell you that this hour is going to give you all the information you need to start a dry practice session, but at least you know what you don't know. That's, for me, the most important thing to share right now. And then now, final hour, by the way, Jim, I have a new service. I started it that I really...
I was interested in that. Your serenade thing?
Oh, my God. I'm having so much fun. You have no idea.
That sounds wonderful. Tell me about it.
Let me tell you, because now it's going to be playing the next hour. This final hour of the show, the show is called Love, Guns, and Freedom. We touched the first 2 hours, the guns and the freedom part. Now we're going to love, okay? So I want to show that there is a part of us gun owners. We are not beasts. We are not cavemen that we eat kids or children alive. We are human beings with a heart, at least speaking for myself. And also in this hour of the show, I want to enjoy a little bit and detox from all this serious information that we've been talking. So what I do, I offer a free service for all the listeners. It's free. You can send me an email to me, Gianluca Zanna. The email you can find it at www.lovegunsfreedom.com, and send me the phone number and the name of the special person in your life that you want to dedicate a serenade, and also a love message. I don't care if it's a man, a woman, between, all I care that is nothing pornographic, okay? I want just to be romantic, okay? So far I had, by the way, in the next 2 hours you will hear, I have a beautiful love message from a daughter to their parents, and then also I have a young man to her grandmother. So it doesn't need to be necessarily just a romantic thing like a man and woman, okay? It can be also just platonic love. So what I do, I call that special person anywhere in the world, okay? And first of all, I am an ambassador. I pretty much read, like used to be the messenger, your message for you with your dedication. It's going to be on the air. And then I will sing live a serenade with all my heart. And I'm telling you, I had to put some Kleenex moment here because, especially when I had both callers, both recipients, started to almost cry. It was very nice.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and I enjoy it. It's fun, it's free, and it's some way to share that, at the end of the day, as I said, all we're talking here, it's about love. Because when I say a gun owner, for me, a gun owner is a person who loves his fellow humans. Because we carry guns to save lives. We carry guns because we already made a decision. If we have to, we will sacrifice also our life to defend innocent. So for me, this is love. It is not violence. It is not about being people who hate or who wants to destroy. We want to save lives. And that's for me the philosophy of the show. And that's what I'm trying to reach out with this show. And this is another part of us. I'm a gun owner too, of course. And it's to show that, not only I paint with my gun, I also remind the people to go to my website, www.zannaart.com, where I do my new career as a painter. At least, no, I don't paint walls. I paint, canvas and other things. And I have my unique technique. I paint with guns, and I also use some strange materials in my oil. For example, now I'm doing a paint with the oil is mixed with gunpowder. Okay.
Oh, how interesting.
And it's a very interesting color mix. So it's, if you don't like guns, stay away. It's going to be like garlic on holy water on vampires, okay? So listen, Jim, I want to thank you again. And please, why don't you do that? Let's impress also maybe one of your family members if you want to. Next time I can do a little surprise serenade for one of your family members, maybe your lady or anybody you want.
That sounds like fun.
Okay, so listen to the next part of the show, and you guys, listeners, don't go away because you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna, and we are Jim Liesen, and we're gonna go now. The next hour is gonna be shrimp pasta. My way I do a spaghetti with shrimp, plus this beautiful, unique service of free romantic serenades made by myself. Talk to you later. Don't go away. Talk to you the next hour.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman,
I'm not afraid,
and a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid,
Italian by birth,
I'm not afraid,
American by choice. Luca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Luca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on Guerrilla Media Network. Here we are. Welcome to the final hour of Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. This is all about love. We'll talk about something very exciting. Today, new service I'm launching. It's completely free. It's called Free Serenades all over the world with Luca, if you want to call it like that. Anyway, let me explain how it works. You can now, for the first time, I think in the radio history, can have a real Italian serenader delivering a love or romantic message to anyone in the world you want. Free. Plus, I'm the serenader. After I deliver your message, I will sing a very authentic Italian serenade to your special person. Could be your mom, could be your dad, could be your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your wife, your husband, doesn't matter. Okay? All I care that it's a love message. Because this show, as I said before, it's called Love, Guns, and Freedom. And love is a very important component of our freedom. Without love, there is no motivation even to fight for freedom. That's what I'm here trying to say. So I thought it would be a great fun thing to do and to share for my listeners, completely free. And so right now we'll start with that. And after this free service of Italian Serenader, we will talk a little bit about a very delicious Italian recipe and a couple of very exciting, interesting news and updates. Don't forget, if you want to support the show, there is a very simple way. go to my website. First of all, I have a new website also. It's called Zanna, Z-A-N-N-A, art, A-R-T, zannaart.com. And there you can, of course, first of all, find my music section. You can download any of my 100 songs, over 100 published songs that I wrote since I came to America for just 99 cents each song. Doing that really support the show. Then also in that section, you see in zannaart.com, I have a section for my paintings. I'm also now really enjoying start painting again. And there are section for leather. I am also in I like to create a Roman creation, like ancient Roman leather, and some other little things. So supporting me, you support the show, and I really do appreciate it, because in this way, I'll be able to keep the show free. That means I always welcome sponsors, but remember, my first loyalty is to the truth and to the listeners. The sponsor, when they support me, they understand this is what I'm trying to do, and I appreciate them. But I will never compromise to any sponsor for the truth. So that's why I'm here. If you want to support me, please go to zannaart.com. Also, you can go to zanna.us, my site, where you can download all my music. So, now, by the way, you see, can you hear my voice? I'm eating. That's why I sound so strange. And I just finished to eat this delicious spaghetti with shrimp. And I will tell you after the section of the serenade. So don't go away. Right now, here we go. We'll start right now with a new service of Italian Serenader on the air with Luca-zanna on Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and a love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time, getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit FreedomLovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. FreedomLovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really click.
Hello.
Hello, this is Luca-zanna from the radio show Love, Guns, and Freedom. I'm looking for Lois Savitsky.
This is she.
Hi, Lois. Nice to meet you. I have a special message and a special gift from your grandson, Eric Savitsky.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so listen, first of all, it's Christmas time, and Eric hired me as an ambassador, like a special serenader. Eric is one of my favorite listeners on my radio show here on Love, Guns, and Freedom. And this is the final hour of the show. We talk about love. And, as you can hear from my accent, I was from Italy. And besides talking about guns and freedom, we also talk about love. And I like to sing serenades. So, Eric hired me as a special serenader for you, Lois. And right now, first of all, I'm going to be an ambassador of love and share with you this beautiful love message from your grandson. Tell me when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Grandmother, I love you with all my heart. Merry Christmas from Eric. Something to say to him?
Pardon?
Anything to say back to Eric?
Yes. I love him. I think of him every second of every day. I had the nicest visit with him a couple of years ago. I just wish it could be all the time, but God bless him. He's an angel. I love him.
Very good.
Merry
Very
Christmas.
good. Merry Christmas to you too, and Merry Christmas to Eric. Now, it's not over. I also have a little surprise for you. Besides talking about guns during my show, I also like to sing serenades. So I have a very romantic serenade that I will dedicate to you from Eric. The serenade is in Italian. It's called Roma non fa la stupida stasera. That means Rome, don't be stupid tonight. And then I will give you also a little translation. Meanwhile, just sit back and listen to the music and love dedicated from Eric to you, Lois. Here we go. Roma non fa la stupida stasera. Serenade dedicated from Eric to Lois. Here we go. Roma non fa la stupida stasera. Dammi una mano a faglie di sì. Scegli tutte le stelle più brillarelle che c'hai, friccico de luna tutta per noi. Fai e senti che è quasi primavera, mannali meglio grilli per far cri-cri. Scegli il ponentino più malandrino che c'hai, Roma non fa la stupida stasera. Here we go, dear beautiful Lois. This was a serenade for you from Eric. The song is about Rome, the romantic eternal town. But now I will give you an improvisation with the music. Here we go. Dear grandmother, I love you with all my heart. I hope to see you very soon. I'll fly to you, and I will also challenge the TSA for you. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. My best wishes of love. Dear Grandmother Lois, this special song is from Eric, and you're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with luca-zanna. Here we go, my dear friend. I hope you enjoy the serenade. And Eric,
wonderful.
And I want to wish you a Merry Christmas too. And please listen also to my show. If you're on the internet, go to lovegunsfreedom.com with luca-zanna, and you can send a free serenade with dedication to anybody around the world. You can hire me, the Italian Serenader, for free. That's a good price. And I want to wish you really much a Merry Christmas to you, Lois. And the final message for Eric, please. Go ahead.
For
Eric,
you want me to,
the final message for your grandson, Eric. I give you the floor.
Eric, okay. Eric, I love you. I hope you have the most wonderful Christmas, and not only that, the rest of your life, the best that can be had. I love you. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Grandma Lois.
Very good, Lois. Thank you very much. Be in touch and keep and listen to our show, okay? Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And there was Lois, Grandmother Lois, from Florida. And it's so beautiful. I really like this new service. Something different. You know, we talk about guns, we talk about freedom, we talk about rights, we talk about very serious things in the show. And this the final hour, I always wanted to do something different. I wanted to reconnect with our humanity. First of all, to show that gun owners, they're not monsters. We are not people like, you know, they're trying to paint us that, cold heart, eating children. No, we're human beings. We try to be better than the average human being. Sometimes, of course, there are exceptions. But specifically talking for myself, I always said, to have a gun, it is not an act of fear. It is not an act of violence, but it's an act of love. An act of love to sacrifice even yourself, if you have to do, against evil. To defend the good against evil. To defend the life, not to take a life. So, but right now, this part of the show is something completely different. We need to detox sometime from this New World Order, terrible, evil people that are trying to destroy our rights. And as I said many times, the best revenge against evil is to live well. So that's why we're here. We talk about food, recipes, love, and I think this is a great idea, not because I created it, but I really like it. And I invite you to write me an email. Go to my website, lovegunsfreedom.com, and there is the email on the homepage, zanna@zanna.us. All you have to do is send me an email with the name of the person that you want to dedicate this serenade. I have, by the way, many other serenades. This is just one. And I also improvise a little bit for you. All you have to do, you put the first name of the person you want me to contact, his or her phone number, a short message, and guess what? I will call that person and I will put them on the air, and I will also not only share this message as an ambassador of love, but also I will sing and perform live for you as your personal serenader from Italy. I like to shoot guns, but I also like to sing. That's pretty much myself. Okay? So, that was it. This was a beautiful love segment in the Love, Guns, and Freedom radio show. Stay tuned, don't go away. There is more to come. You're listening On the Air with Luca Zanna. Ciao.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman,
I'm not afraid,
and a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid,
Italian by birth,
I'm not afraid,
American by choice. Luca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Luca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Hello.
Hello, good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon. What time is it there?
Yes.
This is Luca Zanna from the radio show Love, Guns, and Freedom, and I was looking for Evelyn Chester. Special message from your beautiful daughter, Tony Chester. Are you Evelyn?
Yes, I am.
I am, yes.
Okay, no, Evelyn, you sound like a man. You may be the father, right?
My wife is on there.
Very good. Anyway, nice to meet you guys. You have a beautiful, wonderful daughter that she hired me as a personal private messenger. First of all, to share with you a beautiful message for Christmas, and also as a private serenader. As you can hear from my accent, I wasn't born around here. I'm born in Rome, Italy. And we have a beautiful...
you're a little Italian boy, huh?
I'm the little Italian boy here, okay? And just
Good.
Fresh out of the boat. And what I'm doing here, I have a radio show on K-Talks 1340 AM. The radio show is called Love, Guns, and Freedom. And during the final hour of the show, we talk about love. And means Italian recipes, and we talk about music, and also this new free service that I do for my listeners. And all I have to do, you hire me, and I'm free. I call your beloved one, anybody around the world, and I share the special message, plus I sing a serenade for you. Okay? So now we have a message. Let's start with a message from Tony. This is for Evelyn and for Dad, to my beautiful and wonderful parents. I love you, Tony.
Oh, yes.
I want to see some Kleenex moment. I want to see some tears coming down, okay? Now, Beside the beautiful
That's
message,
Brian already.
that's a message. Now we have also a song, okay? This is a beautiful song that I'm going to sing for you live. It's called Caruso. Caruso, that of course you very know probably well, is a famous Italian singer. Unfortunately, he's
Right.
gone, but
Enrico.
very good. And this is a cover, is a song written by Lucio Dalla. And I'll play it for you, probably you know it, and I'll do my own version. Stay there, don't go away. Caruso, dedicated to the beautiful Chester parents from their daughter, Tony. Here we go. Let me warm up the voice here. Caruso, from Tony to mom and dad.
Don't find the phone up.
Here we go. Qui dove il mare luccica e tira forte il vento, su una vecchia terrazza davanti al golfo di Sorrento, un uomo abbraccia una ragazza dopo che aveva pianto. Poi si schiarisce la voce e ricomincia il canto. Te voglio bene assai, ma tanto, tanto bene sai. È una catena ormai che scioglie sangue dentro e vene sai. Dear mother, Evelyn, dear father, this song brought from your daughter, Tony. She loves you. She thinks about you always. And you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. So, now, you say a message to Tony. Whatever you want to say. She's going to listen.
I'll have my wife do the speaking.
I love her so much, and I think she knows it. I'm crying right now. I miss her a lot, not being here. And I just want her to take care of herself. And we love her. Her dad does, too. We
And
love her.
she's a young lady that has the biggest heart in the world.
She
Always
really
thinks of people. We thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I'm
And you
crying
have
too.
a happy new year.
You too. You too. With all my love, okay? Thank you very much,
Thank
guys.
you very much.
So much.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And there was Luca singing the serenade, myself, to this beautiful family, the Chester family. And I'm so excited about this new service. It makes me feel like I'm a messenger of love. You know, I mean, I know it sounds crazy. Probably people think, oh my God, the first hour you talk about guns and New World Order and all this stuff and tactical training and Second Amendment, live free or die. And then you go down to all this moment of, I call it the Kleenex moment. I get tears in my eyes. And this is part of being humans. This is great. So anyway, Tony, I hope you enjoy this beautiful service, and I would like to remind everybody listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom, this is a free, incredible service. Myself, Luca Zanna, I offer my services for free to my listeners. You will have Serenader, also Messenger of Love. Just send me an email, zanna@zanna.us. Send an email with the name of the person you want me to call. I don't care if it's a boy, girl, or like it's over 18 if it's possible. Father, mother, grandfather, son, brothers, doesn't matter. All I care that there is love. Okay? I call that person. I will share the message as a messenger. And of course, I will sing one of my serenades live, like I did right now. So, I hope you enjoy. Now we will continue with the show with an incredible Italian recipes. And today we will talk about spaghetti with shrimp. Luca's way. Don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman,
I'm not afraid,
and a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid,
Italian by birth,
I'm not afraid,
American by choice. Luca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Luca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
We are back into the studio. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Now we go straight to the Italian recipe of the day, of the week. As I said, today we will do with the spicy shrimp and spaghetti. I say spicy because I like always to put a little spicy. Okay, I am from Anzio. Anzio, of course, I was born in Rome, and I grew up most of my teenager years in Rome. But my first childhood was in Anzio. Anzio is a small little town on the Tyrrhenic Sea coast. Was also a very famous place during the landing of the World War II landing, Anzio Beach. And it's an interesting place. You know, it was also home of Nero and other Roman emperors who used to have their villas. And there's a very much tradition of cooking fish. I like fish. I like it very much. And on the harbor, there are different restaurants. And the one thing I think they really do, most of them, maybe not all of them, but most of them very well, it's pasta with fish. I love it. They cook good fish there. And there are these local fishermen. They go there fishing and they come back and they bring. By the way, my family, part of my family from my mother's side, their grandparents, they were fishermen. And I loved the ocean, I loved the sea, and I liked the fruit of the sea. So it's one of my favorite meals when we want to remember memories of Italy. It's having fish and pasta, and there are different ways, of course. Today I want to share with you shrimp with spaghetti. And of course you can also use linguine. I'm using spaghetti right now. And by the way, I already ate it. Today I'm not going to cook in the kitchen because I was too hungry. I wanted to cook fast and eat. But I'm going to tell you exactly how I made it. First of all, as you know, you need spaghetti, okay? And as I don't want to stress you out, but I always remind you, use the best ingredients you can have. The Italian cuisine is considered like a poor cuisine, okay? So it's simple cuisine. There are not many ingredients, but the good ingredients you must find because they are important to have the quality of the final product. If I use cheap spaghetti that they pretty much don't even hold the cooking part, it's not going to sound good or taste good. So find the best brands. I said I'm not advertising it, but I like Di Cecco a lot. You can find it also at Walmart, okay? Di Cecco. If you can, try to find organic spaghetti. I like them a lot at Trader Joe's. They have a good variety. At least they have some good brand, local Trader Joe's brand. Great stuff. So spaghetti, 1 pound of spaghetti. Enough saying about that. Then we need shrimp. This is very now dangerous thing to think about it because unfortunately we know most of the shrimp you buy, they are from some farm raised, maybe from Thailand or China. Stay the hell away from this type of shrimp. I know sometimes the price may try to convince you that after all there is nothing wrong. I'm sorry, I don't want to eat garbage. I do not want to eat fishes, okay? I want to eat shrimp. So stay away from farm-raised shrimp because they're full of antibiotics and other terrible stuff. Try to find always wild shrimp. And I don't want to sound nationalistic, but it's not just for nationalistic reasons, but stay away from Chinese shrimp, okay? I don't trust them, sorry. So I like to buy something that it's local, at least a national, US, maybe Canada shrimp, okay? That's very important. So try to find shrimp if you can. They still have also the shell. You don't need to get shrimp there on shell. Shell is fine, okay? I like to cook my shrimp with a shell. Now, let's start with the basic ingredients. So we have 1 pound of pasta, and then we have 1 pound of shrimp. Now, what we need, the basic I'm going to do this pasta without tomato, okay? It's going to be white shrimp sauce. The basic ingredients we need when we cook fish like this, we need garlic, and I would say at least 3-4 garlic cloves, at least, and as I said before many times, grow your own garlic, or buy local garlic, okay? Don't buy garlic from China, please. So get 4 or 5 garlic cloves, and then we need at least 4 or 5 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. And the final ingredient, it is called parsley, fresh parsley, grow your own parsley too. It tastes better and it's cleaner, okay? Now, 1 glass, yeah, I say even 2, I like wine, 2 glasses of white wine, okay? Doesn't need to be expensive wine, but you want to get wine that it's good for cooking, okay? Get good quality. You know, after all, you're gonna eat it. So, don't get the most expensive, okay? So we have 1 pound of pasta, 1 pound of shrimp, we have 4 or 5 garlic cloves, we have 4 or 5 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, and then we have the parsley, okay? Now, let's start, first of all, you get a little bit of oil, 4 or 5 tablespoons of oil, you put it into the pan, medium, low temperature, and you start to warm up the oil, and then you throw the garlic, okay? Chop them in pieces, okay? Then, after maybe 60 seconds or so, when the garlic starts to warm up, you throw the shrimp inside the pan, okay? You must have washed the shrimp before, okay? Just to be sure. So you throw the shrimp in with the garlic and the oil. Very simple. And you want to start to, over medium temperature, start to pretty much cook them, okay? And you want to be sure that they, need to stir them up a little bit. You don't want to have just the shrimp at the bottom being cooked at the top, not. So you move them around. And the idea is when you start to see the shrimp, the shell of the shrimp, it starts to become all red, okay, changes color. That means they start to be cooked. Now, meanwhile, after about probably, let's say 3 or 4 minutes, when you start to see that the shrimp start to cook, what do? We also add a little bit of chili, red hot chili. It's very important in our Anzio cuisine. Chili, red hot chili is a very good combination when you use fish, okay? So you get, at your own taste, put some chili inside this oil and the garlic, and at that point, you throw inside at least 1 beautiful glass of white wine. Why? It tastes the flavor, it removes almost the flavor of the fish, and it creates an addition. Now, you must use this wine, you must evaporate this wine, you don't want to drink it, okay? So you must put the wine, put it inside, and stir it up, and the wine starts to pretty much to evaporate. Now, meanwhile, we have the pasta boiling. That's very important. So we have the pasta boiling, the water boiling, and it depends on what type of pasta you have, you will throw the pasta spaghetti inside. Normally it's about 6-7 minutes, depends on the brand, okay? So you have the spaghetti cooked, they're ready to go. At the same time, I like to almost time it. I know that pretty much to cook all the shrimp with the wine is about probably 10-12 minutes, depends how many shrimp. But let's say about whatever times, you time it. I like to time the water with the pasta. When the pasta, I see that pretty much it's almost ready to go. At that point, I drain the pasta. I leave little bit of water, okay? I leave little bit of water from the draining. And at that point, I toss the pasta. If I have a big frying pan with the shrimp inside, I will toss the pasta, the spaghetti, into the pan with the shrimp. And at that point, you are going to pretty much warm up for the next couple minutes to amalgamare, to mantecare, to blend the spaghetti with the shrimp, the garlic, and of course the oil and the chili, and of course the little wine that now has become almost a sauce. That's the idea. And at the last touch, I put some parsley. Parsley, I cut in little pieces. I don't like to overcook it. I like just to let it pretty much sit there when the pasta is warm, okay? This is called pasta with shrimp. And I please invite you to share the way, if you cook this pasta, send me a photo. Send me your maybe questions, or maybe send me even your results. It would be nice to share it. And you know where to do. Go to my website, lovegunsfreedom.com, and there is my email on the homepage, and shoot me the photo of your pasta dish, and I would like to share it with our listeners. Go ahead. So that was pretty much about the pastas today in our love section. So we had an incredible show. As you know, the first hour was about Oklahoma City. Important information that they are very important to pretty much be able to regain the freedom, okay, the freedom of our country. And we must understand these operations called false flag. And it is a sad truth, but they're important. We must face the truth. So this is pretty much why I want to do that. We must at least use our own brain. You don't need to agree on everything, but at least let's have an open mind to look at the facts, and then you can decide. That's pretty much my job here. Then second hour, of course, was about guns, and we had an incredible guest, Jim Liesen. It was beautiful. We talked about dry practice and training, and that was strictly about Second Amendment. And now, this final hour, we talk about a little bit everything with love, and we had this incredible new service of the serenades, and of course, also this pasta recipe. Now, I would like to share some other ideas. First of all, I say it's time for a song, okay? We need to share a little music. It's New Year is coming. We're looking for a better year. We try to look to become better people. Nobody's perfect. I realize myself I have a lot of imperfections, but I always pray God that I can become better. That's my only goal. I accept my limitations, try to improve them. And I would like to play a song of hope. I hope you can enjoy it. And then after this, we will talk about some exciting news, okay? You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-zanna. Don't go away.
You
That was I'll Be Your Friend, music and lyrics by Luca Zanna, myself, and hope you enjoy it. And also remind you, if you want to support the show, it's very simple. All you need is 99 cents. You can go to everywhere, by the way, even if you go on Amazon.com or iTunes, you can find all my songs pretty much in all the biggest outlets out there. But if you want to really help it even better, go to my new website, www.zannaart.com. By the way, you can find also the link on lovegunsfreedom.com. And there you can go to the music section and you can download any of my songs for just 99 cents. Even if you download one song, at the end of the show, it's a way like you pay me for a coffee, and that little 99 cents really helped me to stay independent and to keep this show going. Now, I would like to remind the exciting news that I've been sharing the last few weeks. There is a contest that, it is a contest for freedom, okay? It is, first of all, something that I really enjoy doing it. I want to give the opportunity to a lucky man or woman to pretty much have $15,000 free. It doesn't need to pay. Front site, Diamond Life membership. And this is so important because I believe that the duty of every gun owners, it is, first of all, to live to a higher standard, to be a better person, and also to be trained and to be self-disciplined, commit themselves. When you have a gun, you must be responsible for that gun, and you must try to do your best. You don't want just to have a gun and shove it in your pocket, say, okay, now I'm a gun owner, I'm done. No. I believe that really it's our duty to be educated and proficient in the skills and safe. That's why I like Front Sight. And I like every other school, by the way. Every school that is doing a good job, local or wherever they are, I really appreciate them, okay? I just talking about Front Sight because Front Sight, I'm a life member. I'm a Guardian Life member, and I really enjoy their services and their curriculum. But if you have another school, that's fine. But what I want to give you right now is this opportunity to have a free Front Sight Diamond membership. Now, what is exactly, first of all, Diamond membership? Diamond membership is the highest level of membership at Front Sight. You can pretty much attend any class they offer. And we're talking about, there is so much, you know. Just for example, you can do a handgun class, the 4 days at a class, to the advanced class, to this tactical classes, to the advanced classes. I mean, it's amazing, okay? Then there is shotgun, and there's different levels, of course, from the basic of 2 days, 4 days, and then you go to the advanced classes. And then you go also, for example, a rifle. And then it's like almost a video game, you know. I tell you, once you distinguish in each basic class, you are able to advance to more advanced classes, and this is amazing. Now, beside the handguns, there are so many other activities you can learn, and many other skills. For example, we're talking about empty hands, you know. There are classes for empty hands, and there are classes for knives or edge weapons, they're called. And they're also rappelling and climbing. And if you have children, for example, this Diamond membership goes to a child, you know, they can also have the different classes for teenagers. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. Then you have the opportunity to train with the full automatic weapons. There is, for example, the selective fire M16 or Uzi submachine gun. It's amazing, I tell you. And normally a membership, a Diamond membership costs $15,000 out of their website, okay? So that's all I'm saying. And guess what? You can get it for free. Now, what I can give you, how one person is going to be the lucky person. How can you do that? It's called the contest Don't Tread on Us. All you have to do, download my song, and, you know, I appreciate if you can download and pay 99 cents. If you're really too desperate, you can't afford 99 cents, I understand. Times are tough. Go on YouTube, and you can play the song Don't Tread on Us by Luca Zanna and find out a way to download it, okay? So get the song Don't Tread on Us. Once you download the song Don't Tread on Us, all you need to do, it is to pretty much create a video. you must create a video. A video for YouTube. You use the song as a soundtrack. And at that point, you create with your imagination text or messages or photos, whatever pretty much inspire you, whatever the song is inspiring you. Find the inspiration through the song. Try to keep it to the theme. The theme is freedom. Don't trade on us. We are not afraid. You work for us. And you can listen to the song. So once you do that, upload a video, the new YouTube video, and in the title, please write Don't Trade on Us by Luca Zanna, okay? Contest, okay? Then send me the link of this YouTube video, okay? And by the way, the entering deadline was December the 31st. But guess what? I'm receiving many type of people that they are getting a little late, and many videos. I would like to give them more chance for more people. So we're going to postpone it. So send me this video, upload it. And by the way, if you want to, many people also, they're sending me like covers. Do a cover. Do like play the song. If you know how to play guitar, have a cover. That would be great. Upload on YouTube and send it to me, and I will select one lucky person that will win this free $15,000 value front site membership. Also, the first 20 participants, they will get a free copy of the complete CD, Don't Trade on Us. So it's pretty much a nice package. And I do this because, of course, I want to promote the message. I want to promote the music. I found out this song, it is more important than I thought. When I wrote this song, I did have no idea. So many people, they're sharing it and doing rallies and inspiring each other. And this is my little way to inspire, hopefully, more people that we are free human Americans, free human beings, and this government work for us. We don't work for them. Now, that's pretty much was about the front side contest. Now, another important thing I like to promote, it's free. I like to try to give you the best I can, free till I can, okay? It's called freedomlovers.us. You know, a few months ago, I had a vision. The vision was, I would like to create a community for people who believe in freedom, okay? And doesn't need to be just people who want to date each other, and nothing wrong with that. I think it's great. But first of all, people that we like to have the same values, that we respect each other, okay? Respect each other individual rights. And we understand, for example, that the government, it is not like our master, but it's supposed to go work for us. And we like our individuality. So, I created freedomlovers.us. I like to call it as the first free dating site and community for freedom-loving singles. Now, what I like to tell you that the community is growing. We have new members, and pretty much also what you get as a free service. Okay, first of all, you can get your profile. You log in, you create a profile, and it's free, as I said. Put your photos, your text, your different information. And you pretty much, you point out yourself who you are, okay? Now that you have also, and a very important thing, you have a free video chat. You can chat video with a video service free. Let's say you want to have a video with somebody else, you can go there and you can meet each other on with video. Then you can share videos. You can also upload a video, okay? You can share your video. Now, that important thing, for example, you also can promote your ideas, your business. Okay, I don't want spam. I don't start to put please Ray-Bans and all this stuff. But you can, if you have ideas, something for your business, interesting, like, I don't know, services that you offer, it's free. Use it, okay? And then, of course, we have other beautiful things, like there is the romantic chat, and you can record your messages. There's the classified ads, and I think it's very cool. Okay, you can play your music, upload your songs. I think it's very good, and it's free. So I appreciate it. You can also spread the voice. And as I said, you don't need to be a single to be there. Also, if you're just looking for friends or networking with like-minded people. So this is pretty much about freedomlovers.us. Now, since this hour it's about love, it's about music, recipes, it's time also to start to share another song. Okay, this is the hour that I normally like to play some of my songs. Here we go. I will surprise you right now with another song of mine, and I hope you can enjoy it. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna.
Yeah. get lost in our pride. When the day will come, I wanna be with you. I wanna raise my eyes to the sky. When the day will come, I wanna be with you. I wanna raise my eyes, we will fly. Oh, I can see golden fields of light. I can feel peace and quiet. I can feel His love, it's sublime. And all I bring with me are love and our dreams, the memories of our lives. When the day will come, I wanna be with you. I wanna raise my eyes to the skies, to the sky. When the day will come, be with you. Yeah, I wanna raise my eyes. We will fly. When the day will come, I wanna be with you. I wanna raise my eyes. We will fly.
When the day will come. I mean, this is for me one of the most visionary song I wrote. Let me just articulate briefly about this one. I don't want to bore you, but you ever thought in your life that we're going all to die? Okay, this is a fact, and it's only a question of when and how. And I always try to vision when and how my moment is going to come. And I'm not because I'm depressed or I'm trying to sound depressed. No, I believe that there is a better life after this one, first of all. And meanwhile, I want to enjoy this life, doing the best things I can, using the time I've been given to do the best things I can, to be a good person, or at least to improve, and to try to do good out there, okay? And don't get me wrong, I'm not a saint, and I have a lot of limitations, but I'm trying to improve. At the same time, I know that one day my physical life will end. And I always was trying to visualize how and when. It's called When That Day Will Come. And if I could visualize that now, thinking about it, I know many of us don't want to think about it. We try to almost put this on the side, almost trying to avoid it, because we are afraid. We've been trained to be afraid to die. And I'm not saying that die is something we're looking forward to, but the moment when it comes, it's a transition. It's like almost a gate to a new level. That's the way I look at this. And that's why I wrote this song. It was in 2005. Honestly, I wrote this song a little bit before 2005. It was one of my latest songs that I wrote in the CD, Wake Up America. Wake Up America CD that, by the way, I invite you to get. This was one of my first political concept CDs, patriotic songs. But this was the last track, and something completely different. And it was my spiritual vision when my day will come, and all the things I've done, all the things I would like to bring with me, and also the vision of what I had, what is after. And, I'm not trying to preach, by the way. This is my personal vision of spirituality. I believe in Christ. I am not here to preach. I don't go to churches. I don't believe in churches. I believe in a direct relationship with the Creator. But as I said, the purpose of the show is not to share or impose anything. It is just to share, not to impose. I like to share what I am. I like to know also what you are. And in the section of love, I thought, we talk about love in different aspects. The romantic part, even the sensual part. And I thought it would be nice also to talk about the spiritual part of love. I think it's very important. So this is the song I wanted to share with you to end this part of the show. Today was the show for December the 28th, 2014. We've been talking about love, guns, and freedom with luca-zanna. And, I also want to remind you that I would like to go shoot with my friends, listeners, and I'm always open to go that. That's the way I like to meet people. I don't really have an office where I meet people. I like to go at the range, okay, or just in the desert. So let's go shoot together. And if you want to go shoot with me, please just let me know. Shoot me an email. And you can shoot my email is zanna@zanna.us. And let's go together. If you live not that far in Mojave County, I would love to join you. We can train together. We can learn from each other. As I said many times, I'm a professional student, okay? And I always try to put some phrases out there that I write in my moments. And today, the final phrase of the day I would like to share with you. It is, life is a journey. Everyone has a different path, but at the end, we all end at the same place, pretty much. And this is pretty much the story. No matter who you are, no matter what you do, no matter if you're rich or poor or whatever you think you are, we're all gonna be gone one day from this planet, from this dimension. And that's something we need to remember. And then it's up to you, of course, where you want to go next. I'm not going to tell you where you're going. I'm just telling you my beliefs. This may be different from your beliefs. Now, the last thing I would like to tell you that something very important if you want to help the show. I believe that one of the ways we can regain our freedom is, first of all, is to be free, medical free, away from doctors. Try to stay healthy. That's what I mean. When you're healthy, you can do pretty much almost everything. If you're sick, there is nothing you can do. So I invite you. I've been using this product for the last 6 months at least, and it's amazing. It's called Protandim, and let me spell it for you. Protandim. Protandim. It is something amazing that it is not vitamins, it is not like antioxidants, it is an activator. It's something that I invite you to go to my site, protandimdistributor.us. And by the way, you can find the link on lovegunsfreedom.com, and there is the bottom of the page, there is a link. All I tell you, please go to the testimonial section, okay, and go also to the research section. And I'm telling you, I'm 46, going 47, and since I've been taking this product, I feel like I'm almost in my 20s. I can do things, I have a level of energy, and even clarity of mind I never had before. And I just gave you the chance to try. I would like you try, like I tried. And doing that, not only I think you get a great opportunity for yourself to improve and to at least regain some of your vitality and slow down your aging, because by the way, this is the only product on the market that clinically is proven to slow down your oxidative stress. That means pretty much the way your free radicals start to age your body by at least 45% in less than 2 weeks. So it's amazing. Give it a try. Please go to protandimdistributor.us. So I think we've done enough for today. I really appreciate your listening to me. And as I said, I don't want you to agree with me on everything. And sometimes I have more fun if we don't agree. But if we can be respectful, at least to find a conversation and some sort of dialectical way that we can at least, with facts and with civility, we can respect each other, bring our differences. But remember, one of the ways to respect each other is not to steal from each other. And that's why I always say, we may have disagreement, and that's fine. But when you start to, for example, start to support government that legally is going to steal from others, I have a problem with that. And by the way, my health insurance is going to be gone in 2 days, thanks to Mr. Obamacare and all the people who supported for it. I've been canceled, and my new plan with Humana is going to be more than $4,000 than what I used to pay. So that's why I'm a little bitter. You understand what's going on here. Meanwhile, I want just to say, till there is life, there is hope. And we're here, and we will fight for freedom. Thank you very much. You've been listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna. You're listening.